Hello everyone, and welcome to Tabletop Obscura presents the Pathfinder Impossible Playtest! I have a brain massage dispenser, see here? Oh god. Okay. Ooh, alright. So that's the kind of energy we're bringing tonight. I'm down. I'm down. We can do this. Persona! I hate that I get that reference. So hello everyone. Yes, we're going to be going for the Impossible playtest with the two classes, the Necromancer and the Runesmith. I have read through the entire document. I actually like both classes. Hello, Sleepy Portal Ghost. Well, I will say, before we get too far into it, I have an announcement or challenge or something like that. So, for those of you who don't know, I have a throne where you can kind of contribute stuff that I can use for the streams and stuff like that. So, I'm trying to stream more often, and I'm trying to stream this kind of content more often. So, here's the deal. I have this book. It is surprisingly good. I have the complete waifu handbook. If one of those throne goals that I have up at the moment is fulfilled by the end of the stream tonight, or I get 5 subs, I will do this next week. I will stream going through the complete waifu handbook. Don't have to. If you don't feel like it, it's fine. But I thought I'd put the challenge out there because I do want to stream more often. Because apparently people like it when I like talk about Pathfinder 2 stuff. I don't understand why. It's weird. Otherwise, here's how tonight's gonna go. Why is the waifu handbook here? Because if I get like 5 subs tonight, or one of the firm goals is done, they went back and that book to my phone. Look, it's loading crew crafts. I kickstarted it ages ago. I've had it sitting on my drive. I've had to skim through it at a couple of looks, and every time I do, it's just pretty amazing. But we are doing the Impossible playtest tonight. But here's how tonight's gonna work. I'm splitting the stream in 2. Well, not splitting the stream. We're gonna spend about an hour to an hour and a half talking about the Necromancer. Then I'm gonna go on a break. And then we're gonna, after the break, we're gonna do the Runesmith. That way we actually kind of allot the proper time for each of them. Otherwise, who's like excited for the Necromancer and the Runesmith? I know people have been asking for a proper Necromancer class for a very, very long time. The Runesmith kind of came out of left field for me, not gonna lie, but look, I'm down. I love that blacksmithing type stuff. The old bait and switch. Yeah, no, I'm just clickbaiting people into watching the stream. Because, you know, I'll grab that as the thumbnail for it, and people will be like, oh my god, what? That's how you do the whole YouTube / streaming thing, isn't it? You have big feelings about Necromancer. I think the Runesmith is a tad high numbers wise. We'll get into the Runesmith. Yes, the concept of the Runesmith is very good. Where was it though? Before, to kind of not address that kind of thing, but this paragraph here, they call out at the start that they're actually have pushed the numbers a little bit on some things. Oh, I get to color someone's opinions, great. But yeah, this section here, they're basically talking about how they're actually pushing the numbers a little bit to see how it goes. To see how people kind of respond to the numbers and some of the changes they're doing to the game engine, or some of the mechanics they're putting in. Otherwise, this is regularly available on Paizo.com. I am a bad streamer and I did not set up like a command or something for the link to it, but it is on Paizo.com. Otherwise, the Necromancer. Death is as common as life, if not more so. Despite this, death and decay are considered subjects of the macabre, and those willing to dive headfirst into the fascinations they invoke are necromancers. These occult spellcasters seek the ever-changing borders of life and death, manipulating the energies, vitality and void to suit their will. The undead both serve and cower before them, while a necromancer's creations are merely a mockery of life. The undead are keen to serve the creator. One word, arise. Arise! A new player of mine trying to do a necromancer type spellcaster, so this could have come at a better time, was trying to copy over the old stuff, when he stuff before this. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Like, some of the mechanics and stuff like that they're introducing to this has some massive implications for what they might be doing going forward with some things, particularly summoning spells. Otherwise, Necromancer, Intelligence, both the classes in the playtest. Both the... No... One second, Julia's trying to drown me. Both classes are keyed on intelligence. They're both intelligence, and they're both 8+ constitution. I kind of want to sit down and do the maths and figure out just how many classes now they have at the 8 hit point mark. Like, what's the balance there? Because this is going to be another 2 classes that are at 8 hit points. Battlecry had 8 hit points, 8 hit point marshal and a 10 hit point marshal. Both the Necromancer and the Runesmith are 8 hit points as well. My question being, what did the like 6 hit point casters do, Paizo? Why can't we have like 6 hit point casters again? Because the Necromancer, if you ask me, could be 6 hit points and it'd be fine. I'm going to put it out there. Runesmith needs the 8 hit points, but the Necromancer really doesn't. For they die of crits. Well, everyone dies of crits. Oh yes, the background music at the moment, I should call that out. Video game study lounge. There we go. That link probably does not work. But we are listening to the video game study lounge as presented by Game Chops. You are allowed to use them for streams. And that's mostly why I'm doing it. But Necromancer, trained in perception, saving throws, they're expert in fortitude, trained in reflex, and trained in will. The trained in will I found a little bit interesting, because we're kind of... Wisdom's not going to be a big stat for the... Yeah, like, Wisdom's not going to be a big stat for the Necromancer, so... They're actually going to struggle a little bit on the will. Like, for a lot of the things you're going to be throwing around with the Necromancer, you're going to want to have your intelligence as hyped up as possible. I guess you don't really need much else, but you also don't really need Constitution much for the Necromancer. That's my opinion, but it's not like they have, like, HP options where you kind of drain off your own HP. Skills, they're trained in occultism, and they are trained in a number of additional skills equal to 2+ your intelligence modifier. You're a product of your environment. If you hang with brain dead folks, it rubs off. Well. Attacks, trained in simple weapons, trained in unarmed attacks. Their defenses, they're trained in light armor, trained in unarmored defense, trained in spell attack modifier, trained in spell DC, trained in necromancer cost DC. And this is what I'm talking about. This feels for the most part like a D6 caster. Like, just these proficiencies. There is stuff that you can pick up, I think, that builds up the scythe from my read-through I did earlier. But yeah, that's the base proficiencies. I'm probably not going to spend too much on... You telling me necromancers aren't heavily impressionable from the new opponent minds? You probably build intelligence, dex, wisdom, con, strength, riz. Yeah, that's probably how I'd do it as well. It is often the case that a low-willed person is tempted into bringing back their loved ones. Sometimes that turns out wrong, as they read the wrong book. Look, I've had 2 concepts for a necromancer so far. One of them was absolutely Ash from Evil Dead, and the other one was a skeleton necromancer who brought his friends back from the skeleton wars. So you have one idea who is a necromancer who doesn't like the fact that they're a necromancer, but they're just kind of dealing with it, and the other one who's kind of like, yeah, no, we're getting through this. If I was min-maxing, but we all know I like talking too much to truly dumb charisma. Charisma's not a dumb stat. I don't care what people say. I will say, I'm not the first person to say this, but this is probably one of the darker concepts that Paizo has done for a class for a very long time. Like, I think the darkest concept we had for a class before this was probably stuff from the occult books in PF1. Well, that's the thing, Brogan. The necromancer doesn't care if your cleric like pops a heal. It doesn't matter. The thralls will come back. It's fine. But I will say the flavoring for the necromancer is very... They've tried their best to kind of call it, you know, macabre, a little death obsessed, but they haven't said good or evil either way. So I think that's interesting, and I'm kind of intrigued to see what character concepts people come up with for it. Now, the key terms. We can ignore the spell shapes because everyone knows what spell shapes are at this point. The thralls. This is the one that people were really looking forward to seeing how they would do it. Thralls are undead creatures, but they are not minions with the summon trait. They can't take actions, but they can be used for various abilities. Unless noted otherwise, a thrall is small or medium, chosen by when you created it, and must be created in an unoccupied space. A thrall can contribute to flanking as though it were able to make melee unarmed strikes. A thrall has 1 hit point, is automatically hit by attacks, and automatically fails all saving throws. A thrall is immune to bleed, death effects, disease, mental, and poison. A thrall is level -1 if an effect needs to refer to its level. Spells or abilities that create thralls have the thrall trait. Detective Necromancer solving all the murder cases. I'm actually curious to see how the multi-class archetype for the Necromancer is going to turn out. But that's how they're doing thralls. I think it's honestly a bit weird that they have a really generic chassis for the class, though. It makes me want to see a class archetype that loses the undead theming, like a guy who summons elemental wisps. So I've already had a couple of ideas to that effect. One of them was, like you said, Juliet, like summoning the elemental wisps instead. Like a guy who just summons elemental wisps to do their biddings, that kind of thing. And with some of the feats you get later on, it's really easy to do. The other one is, this is a really fantastic chassis for your Stone Razor. So someone who works with totem casting, as it is sometimes called, or the raise hinge from other things. The druid feat that allows you to raise a stone. You could absolutely do it with this. You could reflavor it quite easily. The other one I had was a construct version of it, where you just like summon little toys and gadgets and things. But I will say I don't think Paizo will do that. I get the feeling Paizo is going to leave it as the Necromancer and let third-party publishers kind of take over on the retheming and retextualizing of the class. Which, you know what, to be fair, fine. I'll do it. It's fine. A thrall is level -1. So what they mean by that is for in terms of bestiary stuff, it is a creature level -1. The only problem with that is that if someone wants to counterspell the thralls, they can easily do it. It's not difficult. Because a counterspelling effect, I think even on a fail, would easily counteract it. The idea of the thrall being, it's just really easy to kill. But they're also super annoying. Ancestry, background, everything we've come to know and love. They are prepared casters, they're not spontaneous. However, and I have comments about this, they do not have a spellbook, they do not have a familiar, as you do with the Magus, Wizard, or Witch. They have a dirge. We'll skip that, we'll come back to that, because I do want to talk about the dirge. Your occult spells become a part of an internal dirge that echoes throughout your body, bones, and even your spirit. Each day, to prepare your spells, you pull forth pieces of your dirge to vocalize. Your dirge contains your choice of 10 occult cantrips and 5 first-rank occult spells. You choose these from the common spells on the occult spell list or from other occult spells you gain access to. Each time you gain a level, you add 2 occult spells to your dirge, of any spell rank for which you have spell slots, chosen from common spells of your tradition or others you gain access to and learn via Learn a Spell. So, it's not a big point of power, and most GMs don't do it. I know I, for one, hate doing it. But part of the whole thing of being a wizard is your spellbook's a vulnerability. So someone can quite literally just take your wizard's spellbook while they're sleeping and run off of it, and the wizard is fucked. It was such a thing in Pathfinder 1st edition that there were feats that allowed you to just kind of have it so you could prepare those spells wherever you had the spellbook or not. Well, the Learn a Spell activity means you can add spells to your dirge. I'm still going to run my Necromancer for a spellbook. That's absolutely, look, that's what I would recommend as well. I would actually like to see the Bard has a Muse feat. I can't remember which one it is. The Enigma Muse, I think, where they get a spellbook. I would like a similar feat for the Necromancer, if I'm being honest. Just a couple of spells that they can prepare in a spellbook instead of having a dirge for it. But it's interesting that it's not a vulnerability. Like with the Witch, especially in the remaster, the Familiar is a target. Like, there are abilities that key off the Familiar. Your Familiar contains the spells. As written, it seems that Learn a Spell only lets you add uncommon and rare spells. Yeah, I think you'd be I know it's not explicit, but I think it is intended that you can do it with common spells as well. I haven't looked at the new Learn a Spell activity in quite a while, though. But yeah, it's interesting, and it does kind of conjure up the images of, not the standard funeral dirges, but if you wanted to, and you could do it properly, the New Orleans, I don't know the proper term for it, but New Orleans has a lot of musical traditions around funerals and things like that. So it'd be really easy to kind of mix that in with the character concept as well. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. Let me grab the text for Wizard so I can better explain. Yeah, that's all good, Juliet. While a dirge can be a spell book, it does not state what the physical state your dirge takes, only that it is a part of yourself. So I'd run it that your dirge is out. You're more vulnerable as any attacks. Your dirge can also hurt you. Yeah, it's... See, because the start of it calls out that's an internal dirge that echoes throughout your body, bones, and even your spirit. You pull 4 pieces of your dirge to vocalize. So there is various ways you can spin that. And one of the ways you could absolutely spin it is, I'm just gonna take bones out from my body. And that's how I'm gonna do my dirge. Otherwise, grave spells, they're focus casters. Like, they have focus point casting. Their refocus activity is to speak to the dead or meditate on local supernatural activity or contemplate anatomical truths. The refocus, like speaking to the dead, so I'm going to cast Speak with Dead. Can I use that to refocus as well? I clip my nails and those are my spells. Well. They also have grave cantrips, which are their focus point cantrips. Glass shards from a shattered phylactery. Urns, funeral urns, that kind of thing. Like, there are some really interesting concepts you could do with it. Grave cantrips, you pick a subclass, it gives you one of the grave cantrips. Everyone gets Create Thrall, however. And because it has been brought up, they do this formatting thing that I really don't like. And that's that they've put the spells and all the focus spells in a different section of the book. So when you read something and it's like, you get this focus spell, you have to flick to a different part of the book to actually see it. I fucking hate it. I truly do. But Great Thrall. This is the key cantrip for the Necromancer. It's pretty much what everything is based off of. It's what their mechanics all run on. It has the Grave trait, Manipulate, Necromancer Thrall, as you'd expect. Has a range of 30 feet and a duration of 1 minute. It is not sustained. This is important. One action, not sustained. You conjure forth an expendable undead thrall in range. If you have the Expert Necromancy class feature, you can create up to 2 thralls, increasing to 3 if you have Master Necromancy, and 4 if you have Legendary Necromancy. When you cast a spell, you can have up to 1 thrall created by this spell. Make a melee unarmed strike using your spell attack modifier for the attack. This attack deals your choice of 1d6 bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. This strike uses and counts towards your multiple attack penalty. So for one action, cast the thrall out within 30 feet, it doesn't attack. It's not a lot of damage, but it uses your spell attack modifier, not your attack modifier. Technically speaking, this means you could summon 3 thralls on 1 turn. Now, you shouldn't, because once again, spell attack modifier, and it applies to your multiple attack penalty. But from what we read up top with the thralls, they still count for flanking. Yeah, they flank for funsies. So if you really wanted to do the first turn, I'm going to summon as many as possible. Your first one, you summon it, don't attack with it. Then you summon a second one in flanking, and you get that one to attack. So that thrall will get a +2 bonus because of the flanking. I think Necromancers are going to be the new best friends of the rogues. Does it say if there's a limit to how many thralls you can have out? There's no limit. Like, straight up, Mean Girls, the limit does not exist. I was in Pathfinder's live stream when he was talking about it earlier today, and I brought up the same question. Is there perhaps a corpse explosion spell, and can it target your own thralls? There is, and we will get to it. But the other thing you'll notice is, even though it's a prepared spellcaster, this is what they're dealing with for their spell slots per day. They don't get a hell of a lot. I've been told that this is in line with the Psychic. It's been a while since I've looked at the Psychic. but they only get 1 or 2 actual slotted spells per day, per rank. Okay, so I looked at Wizard, and that is the proper text for being able to learn spells. I was confused because I had looked up which character recently for a backup character I'm making, and which does have a section specifically calling out how it works to add spells to your list. Yeah, because witches do the scroll broth, if I remember. At least I hope they still do the scroll broth. I thought that was a really great little flavor thing. But per rank, maximum 2. So you are going to be relying a lot on your focus spells, and they do have things to help with that though. Dirge, great. So, for example, Consume Thrall. It is a 1-action spell. You can cast it once per minute. One of your thralls is within 15 feet of you. You crumble one of your thralls to dust to consume its necromantic magic. You destroy one of your thralls within 15 feet of you and regain 1 focus point. Your familiar eats a scroll, you know, like a burrito. My dog ate my grimoire. Sorry. But they get that at first. Necromancers get that at first level. This is how they regenerate their focus points. Or at least how they do it in combat. This is going to be one of those classes where I think people are going to try to front load as many focus points as possible. And considering how focus points work in the remaster, it's not going to, you won't need to get archetypes to front load your focus points. Because you also get, and this is your subclass, a Grim Fascination. As a Necromancer, you select 1 Grim Fascination at first level. This fascination is a focus of necrotic study that you have developed a greater mastery over. However, Grim Fascinations don't prevent you from studying and using other forms of necromancy. Your choice of Grim Fascination grants you a class feat that gives you your first grave spell, a general feat, and a thrall enhancement that applies to any thrall you create. Bone Shapers, also known as Osteomancers, craft what they desire from the skeletons of the dead, or simply create new skeletons by expanding and shaping small bone pieces. They get the Bone Spear class feat. This is more of a personal design thing than anything else. So all the feat does is it gives you a focus spell. So I don't know why you don't just get the focus spell. They don't just give it to you. I do know, but general feat, yes. I thought that was weird as well, or at least I thought that was strange. Because all of your subclasses give you a general feat. They don't give you a skill feat. But each subclass also gives you an enhancement to your thralls. For the Osteomancers, they're particularly nimble. Whenever 1 or more of your thralls would take damage from an effect requiring a reflex save, you can attempt a DC 15 flat check. If you succeed, you choose 1 thrall to take no damage, and on a critical success, none of the thralls take the damage. Because one of the problems you're going to have with the Necromancer, super vulnerable to any area of effect. Super vulnerable. Like fireballs, breath weapons, even like swarms and stuff like that. Swarms will just fuck up your thralls so hard. You roll a 20. That's how you crit succeed on a flat 15. That's okay, it is a question that comes up very often. Flesh Magician! I really wish they chose something different than Magician for it. Flesh Magicians, also known as Chiromancers, are experts at the destruction, production, and manipulation of flesh and muscles. Their thralls generally take on the form of zombies and other creatures of dead flesh. You gain toughness as your general feat. And the thrall enhancement, you can still make use of a destroyed thrall's flesh. Whenever one of your thralls is destroyed, you can cause the thrall to leave behind difficult terrain in the space they were destroyed. The difficult terrain lasts for 10 minutes. Great at parties such as funerals and wakes. God. I will say one of the things... The class doesn't have it. But I feel like there should be some sort of flag or an uncommon tag or something, because there are some GMs who are just going to be like, no to the Flesh Magician. Just straight up no. Like, I know most people are pretty okay with like summoning Skelly Boys or ghosts, but when it's like, hey, I'm just gonna summon, you know, a wall of flesh. That's where the meat sweats come from, right? Oh, there we go. There's another Necromancer idea. An Obby's Necromancer. To give the meat sweats to everyone. God. They do have the meats. They absolutely do. The last subclass they currently have is the Spiritmonger. Spiritmonger is also known as Vitamancers. Gilead, you're in chat, aren't you? I'm pretty sure that's not how Vitamancy works. Right? What's a Vitamancer? Necromancer with Super Taster? Oh god, okay. But Spiritmongers seek the secrets of the soul and play with the internal energies of the living and dead. Their thralls often resemble ghosts and spirits. Their class feat is Life Tap, they get Die Hard, and their thrall enhancement is your thralls, while still being tied to the physical world, have an incorporeal essence. Whenever one of your thralls would deal physical damage, you can choose for that damage to be spirit or void damage instead. This is kind of fantastic because it means... I don't think it specifically has the... It doesn't. I think it would be cool if it did. But if it had the... What is it? It's the... I'm drawing a blank, I'm sorry chat. It's the feat, it's the class thing that makes you sanctified. There we go. No, sanctified. Because then your spirit damage would be either holy or unholy. Now, this is the other thing, the other two things about the class that people are a little bit leery on. And I must admit, Mastery of Life and Death is a little bit eh. Mastery of Life and Death. You have studied the delicate balance of life and death to such a point that you can dance between them with ease. Whenever you cast a spell or use an ability that would deal a void or vitality damage, use the weaker of the target's resistance or immunity to void or to vitality. For instance, if the creature were immune to void and had no resistance or immunity to vitality damage, it would take vitality damage from the spell or ability. Resistance or immunity both or to all damage applies as normal. I really feel sorry for the Foundry team right now. Like, the playtest module is already up on Foundry, but programming that's going to be so wild. So concussive spells, pretty much. Undead Lore is the other one. Your delves into the darkest secrets of life and death have prepared you for the understanding necessary to comprehend undead magic. You become trained in Undead Lore, a special lore skill that can be used to recall knowledge regarding undead creatures, haunts, and effects caused by undead creatures or other necromancers, but that can't be used to recall knowledge of other topics. At 3rd level, you become an expert in Undead Lore, at 7th level, you become a master, and at 15, you become legendary. It's... So one of the things that should be noted is that this pod particular is after the apostrophe, so you can still use Undead Lore for recall knowledge. It's just you can't use it for everything. See, this needs to exist for every class. Yes! Yes, yes, yes! Look, we're seeing it more and more often, where the newer classes that are coming out just has it front-loaded. I would like to see it for every class. For real, for real. I would like to see it for the cleric. I'd like to see it for the wizard. I'd like to see it for the bard. I don't think the bard still has auto leveling performance, which is just buck fucking wild to me, but it is what it is. But no. Now, the feats. I'm probably going to skip over a lot of the usual things that they have for it. It's all pretty standard for a caster. But 3rd level, Inevitable Return. When an enemy dies within 60 feet, as a reaction, you raise a thrall in the triggering corpse's space. This thrall falls apart after 1 minute. Now remember, chat, it specifically said when it came to thralls, they had to be small or medium. So, if you kill a giant, the corpse still has to be medium or small. So you're not resurrecting an entire giant, you're just going to be resurrecting part of it. A toe thrall? Yes. Or a chest burster. Or just, you know, the top half. I cut him in half at the spine. I'm just going to reanimate his bottom half. I only want his feet. A thralls. Or just stack them up tight. It's fine. Also on Vitamancer, I think if they want to use a Latin root, Animancer would probably be a better term, but Mancer is a Greek, so it should probably be a Neuromancer. Yeah, I don't think they're digging that deep into the actual language of it. I think an Animancer would be great, but the rest of this is all pretty stock standard. They get Legendary Necromancer at 19th. This is notable in that they get the Legendary spell proficiencies. And I believe they get it at the same point as Wizards do. I was looking at Wizard earlier. Yeah, they get the same cost of progression as the Wizards. Just cut them up into pieces and then resurrect them and come like a Megazord. Well, funny you should mention that. We will get to that though. Now, the actual Necromancer feats. It's a classics minor, Neuromancer goes on. I am going to skip all the feats that just give you a spell, because we'll go through the spells. But, Bone Speaker. You can recall knowledge on living creatures with an internal or external skeleton using undead lore. If you do, you can learn only information pertaining to the biology of a creature. You cannot learn information about any learned abilities or abilities granted by items. So this means you could use undead lore to do recall knowledge on a wolf. You won't be able to know if the wolf can, you know, do tricks or anything like that, but you'll know its other abilities. It's playtest material, it's kind of given that's the Neuromancer, right? I'm gonna give you pneumonia, God. Additionally, you can perform a forensic examination on a corpse using undead lore instead of medicine. Yeah. Dead weight! No, that's another one. Let in my bones. Reach of the Dead I thought was interesting. You channel your necrotic magic for a thrall, expending it in the process. If the next action you use is to cast a spell that has a range, you cast that spell from one of your thralls within 60 feet. That thrall becomes the point of origin for your spell. You calculate range and cover from their space instead of yours. The thrall is then destroyed. This is a free action spell shape that can potentially extend your range by 60 feet and excuse you? This is a level 1 feat. So if you're playing a human, because a lot of people like to play human, it's just a better redirect sorcerer feat. Yeah, no, it is. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, theoretically, this does cost an action. Because you have to create the thrall. But it's still an extra 60 feet of range on it. And at first level, like, there are some interesting second level feats, don't get me wrong, but let's be honest, most people are going to go for Reach the Dead. Cause fuck knows I would. That's just too good to pass up. Like, yeah, you can get some spells, but that's an extra 60 feet and you can go around corners. Second level Conceal Spell, which we're all pretty familiar with. Extra focus spells. This is what I was talking about, where you don't need to dig into an archetype to front load your focus spells or your focus points, because they just give you so much. But this one I found was interesting. The Reaper's Weapon Familiarity. Long blades that can fell or reap in a single swing are classically associated with Necromancer. And you take this association to a more practical end. You have familiarity with the Great Sword, Scythe, and all axes for the purposes of proficiency. You treat any of these that are martial weapons as simple weapons, and any that are advanced weapons as martial weapons. Great Thrall does have a max range of 30, but you can also just move away from your thrall, and it's still a free extension of 30 feet. And you can also go around corners, like we said. But yeah, just... Also, I don't think they have anything that builds off this. You can smell the power creep. I'm not sure. No, that is true. It's not like instantly you get an extra 60 feet. But yeah, Reaper's Weapon Familiarity is kind of pure flavor. I know it has light armor and the 8 hit points, but I don't know how often you would actually want your Necromancer in frontline combat. Like with Reach of the Dead, you already have a range extender right there. And I don't think there's anything that builds off of it. Otherwise, if you do want to go front line, there is Body Shield, which is a reaction. A creature targets you with an attack and you can see the attacker. You're adjacent to at least one of your thralls. You throw one of your thralls that's adjacent to you, placing it between you and the attacker. The thrall grants you a +2 circumstance bonus to AC against the triggering attack. If the attack still hits, you gain resistance to all damage from the triggering attack equal to your level. Regardless of the result, the thrall is destroyed. Just make it so you can use the scythe as a casting focus. Well, I mentioned it in a Pathfinder stream earlier, but I could see some feats that really build off of it. Like if you could hit with a scythe or with one of the weapons from your Reaper's Weapon Familiarity, instantly allows you to create a thrall. Meat Shield was definitely the original name. Yeah, I think it got taken up by some of the other ones. But this is pretty great. Boning Barrage, skipping that because we'll go for the spells later. Get down, Mr. President! Draining Strike. You draw the life out of your target using both your weapon and your thralls as a conduit. Make a strike. On a success, you can destroy up to 3 thralls that are within 10 feet of you or your target. For each thrall destroyed this way, the strike deals an additional 1d4 spirit damage and you regain 1d4 hit points. You could theoretically do this with a ranged attack. It does combo with the weapon, but not explicitly. I'm talking more about something that would that has that feat as a prerequisite for it. And yeah, you could also just smash your own rolls. You'll find a little bit with the Runesmith, but there are a lot of things that are trying to combo morpho strikes. There's a... What I'm getting from both of these classes is they are trying to not enforce, but trying to be like, Pathfinder 2 is a team game, everyone. It's a team game. Please play as a team. We want you to be a team. But I think that's cool. Because if you're, for instance, if you have a bow, you can throw out a thrall for one action, then use Draining Strike. It's not going to be a lot of extra hit points, but it is a little bit. Being a team is for nerds, that's why Flame War Priest the one-woman army. Well, it doesn't have the attack trait, but Strike does, so it would be map. Bone Burst! A creature adjacent to one of your thralls uses a manipulate action or a move action, makes a ranged attack, or leaves a square during a move action it's using, and you are within 60 feet of the thrall. I believe Grogan was asking about exploding thralls. Here it is. And you can do it as a reaction. This is the Necromancer's version of Reactive Strike. You destroy the thrall in an explosion of bone shards directed towards the triggering creature, dealing 2d10 piercing damage with a reflex save. This damage increases to 3d10 at 12th level and to 4d10 at 18th level. No interrupt, but is a fair bit of damage. And this is also one of those things where, as a GM, if you're using your meta knowledge, this pretty much means that if someone has Bone Burst, you're trying to kill every single thrall that pops up. Like, you will probably aiming to do that anyway, and GMs, you probably should do that. But it's just, that means your actions are going to get soaked so hard. Just have Fireball on all your enemies? Well, that's what I was saying before. The other one is Swarms will fuck them up. Just put a swarm underneath a bunch of thralls, it would eat them all up. This is a thing where if you swarm of thralls right around a mob, reaction Bone Burst. Well, you only get the one reaction. So it can't chain. Which is a little disappointing, but I completely understand why. Reclaim Power. It requires Consume Thrall, which is what we got up top. For 2 actions, you use your thralls to restore yourself. You consume a thrall, increasing the range to 30 feet. And regain 10 hit points. You can destroy up to 4 more of your thralls in range to increase the healing by 10 per thrall. If you destroy 5 in total, you can also decrease your clumsy, enfeebled, frightened, sickened, or stupid by conditions by 1. It's massive. That's super cool, but having 5 thralls will be difficult. It is a big heal. Big heal, big heal. And this last line caveat here is something I would like to see more often for cleric healers. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, GMs. If you're dealing with Necromancers, you're also going to be playing Whack-A-Mole from now on. Osteo Armaments. You create a +1 striking weapon of which you are proficient, made of bone and sinew. If this weapon requires ammunition, mundane bone ammunition is created when you reload it. You can have only one weapon created this way at a time. If you create another, the original falls apart. If you are not holding the weapon at the end of your turn, the weapon falls apart. The weapon improves to a +2 striking weapon if you're 10th level, a +2 greater striking weapon in 12th, a +3 greater striking weapon at 16th, or a +3 major striking weapon at 19th. You can destroy an adjacent thrall as part of using this action. If you do, the weapon also gains a decaying rune or the greater decaying rune if you're 15th level or higher. So, bone chucks. Well, because it's made of bone and sinew, and if it requires ammunition, mundane bone ammunition is created when you reload it. You can use this for firearms, technically speaking. So you could quite literally just the options are pretty nutty. How's everyone enjoying the Bone Zone? I think we're enjoying it a fair bit. I feel like it should say common weapon. Yeah, I feel like it kind of should as well, just for stuff like that. See, Necromancer seems more and more like a martial. It's, yeah. Also, that one-tooth gun. It's, yeah, Necromancer kind of occupies this weird spot where it definitely feels like a big-time caster. Like, it has big spells, but also has some stuff from martial. Of which you are proficient, so you already have to have proficiency with it. So you have to at least be trained. But this also means you could pick up a multi-class archetype or one of the other archetypes that gives you proficiency with weapons. Yeah, take an archetype, people, get into the frontline, embrace martial. Yeah, no, absolutely. This is basically making a bone scythe. Well, the other interesting part here is this is a level 8 feat, but the weapon is auto-scaling. So there have been cases in the past where there have been archetypes that give you a weapon. The Mindsmith immediately comes to mind, where it's like, you get a bracelet. That bracelet can be inscribed with runes and stuff like that. Whereas you could probably just have that instead. Like, I am absolutely stealing that to use for other things. Auto-scaling better than any animal companion? Like, you don't have property runes unless you destroy the thrall as well, but... Desperate Surge, once per 10 minutes or until recharged. People in life or death situations can summon up impossible strength. With your mastery of such subjects, you can induce this strength when needed. You can attempt to grab, reposition, shove, or trip a creature using a spell attack roll instead of athletics. You can recharge Desperate Surge by making an unarmed strike against the thrall in reach to absorb its strength, which automatically hits, destroys the thrall, and recharges the ability. Decay Rune, I assume, gives bonus damage as well. I believe so. I think it's void damage. Yeah, no, I think you're right, Juliet. It's looking more like a martial. You know what it's starting to feel like? It's starting to feel like it's in a similar position to the monk. Like, dead hit points, light on the armor, but very good in frontline support. Or at least decent in frontline support. So, look at them mentioning reposition. No key, only thrall. It's a worse War Priest. Well, War Priest does get better armor. Life Sense. Your connection to life and death allows you to sense the life force of a creature with a glance. You gain imprecise life sense with a range of 30 feet. This has been done before, which is fine. This sense allows you to detect living and undead creatures within range. Once again, I think the first instance of this came up in Lost Wool. The bigly thing. Additionally, you know the current hit points and temporary hit points of any living or undead creature you can see within 30 feet. You can smell HP. You can literally ask the GM, hey GM, how much hit points does the enemy still have? And you won't get this coy, oh, they only have single digits, or no, they're like really bloody. It's like, no, they have like 3 hit points left. Then the Necromancer can be like, hey, wizard, do the barrage thing. Just kill the damn thing. But as a level 10 feat, I understand the balance there, but there's no check involved or anything like that. So it's also going to be one of those things where I would like to see life sense for other archetypes that get it to be bumped up to the same place. And yet they make me do single checks. Quicken casting. You accelerate your spell casting if your next action is to cast a Necromancer cantrip or a Necromancer spell that is at least 2 ranks lower than your highest rank. This is the same as the wizard one. When I brought this up in the Pathfinder chat earlier, we both kind of came to the same conclusion. It should have the frequency once per day. It's probably a misprint. I think it should be on a successful recall knowledge. I agree. But cantrips aura level, right? Actually, because I have wizard open. Where is it? There it is. If your next action is to cast a wizard cantrip or a wizard spell that's at least 2 ranks lower than the highest rank spell slot you have, reduce the number of actions casted by 1. I think you gain downcast cantrips. It's possible, but why would you? Um, 12th level, become a spirit. You can move through unwilling creatures' spaces as though they were difficult terrain. Additionally, you ignore natural difficult terrain and gain a +2 circumstance bonus to escape checks. Whenever you destroy a thrall, you gain resistance to all damage except Force Ghost, Touch, Spirit, or Vitality, equal to half your level for 1 round. I think the meaning is intended to be a Necromancer's cantrip or a Necromancer spell 2 levels less. That's probably what they're going for, or at least what it's intended to be. I'm not sure if they have Necromancer cantrips of a higher level or not, but we will check that out. But Become a Spirit is good. Like, ignore difficult terrain. Sorry, ignore natural difficult terrain. And the +2 circumstance bonus to escape checks is great. Necrotic Focus, your understanding of your body on an anatomical level allows you to re-harness your necrotic power, using your body as a source. Whenever you refocus, completely refill your focus pool. God. Necromancer is 100% melee with spellcasting. See, I'm not 100% convinced. Like, it does feel like it could take up that monk position. Okay. But I know all focus casters get this feat, where whenever you refocus, completely refill your focus pool. It's just, I know they have it because they kind of have to have it. But I know as a GM, I'm one of those GMs who's like, yeah, no, you can take 30 minutes to regenerate all your focus points. Because this kind of, if this feels like a feed tax. Or at least, you're never gonna feel great about taking that. Especially when you can become a spirit, or reinforced skeleton. A Necromancer elf is gonna be terrifying. It has come up that I have only 10 minutes a few times. I'm not sure what that's about. Reinforced skeleton. Your bone shaper grim fascination. You take on the toughness and lightness of bone. You gain resistance to 2 damage types. One is your choice of cold, electricity, or fire, and the other is your choice of slashing or piercing, equal to half your level, and you gain a 10-foot status bonus to your speeds. Whenever you destroy a thrall, this bonus to your speed increases to plus 20 feet for 1 round. Oh, for refocus. Yeah. I know in some games it would make a lot more sense. And there are times when you will have that time crunch. But it's just... It feels like busy work. And it feels like an unfun. It's like, once again, when compared to what else you can take at this level, which would you rather choose? Okay, yeah, this is smacking of Pseudo Monk. You could at least do that. Vital Conduit. You thicken your skin by adding an impossibly thin layer of dense muscle directly under the surface. Increase your maximum hit points by your level. Whenever you destroy a thrall, each enemy adjacent to you must succeed a fortitude save against your spell DC or become sickened 1. Gross! Like, yeah, players, please ask your GM. Don't just bring the fact that you're a Fleshmancer. Oh wait, the Fleshmancer from Sea of Stars. We can absolutely do one now. 14! Recurring Nightmare, Skeletal Lancers, both focus spells. 16th level, Desperate Revival. You would be reduced to 0 hit points but not immediately killed. You avoid being knocked out and remain at 1 hit point. Each living creature in a 60-foot emanation must attempt a fortitude saving throw. You regain hit points equal to half the total damage dealt. On a success, the target takes void damage equal to half its level. Failure, the target takes void damage equal to its level. The target takes void damage equal to double its level. This is at level 16. I'm playing in a team, guys! I don't want to die! So you just drain hit points from every single person around you. Like, this is an interesting bomb, especially as a reaction. But I should also point out that the Necromancer is going to be a little bit starved for reactions, just looking at things. Playing an undead team. So interestingly, thralls are -1, you lose HP if they get hit with this. Well... thralls aren't living. They're specifically undead, so you can't use it with this. Or at least they wouldn't be affected. Because they have to be living. Effortless concentration. You retain your active spells with hardly a thought. You immediately gain the effects of a sustained action for one of your active Necromancer spells. Meh. Oh, but math. No. Flesh Tsunami. That's right. Flesh Tsunami. Bind Heroic Spirit. Ectoplasmic Aura. You and allies within 30 feet gain a +1 circumstance bonus to AC as the air between them and their enemies thickens with ectoplasm. Thick air, everyone. You're gonna get thick air. Additionally, any enemy that ends its turn in this aura must attempt a fortitude saving throw. On a failure, it can't use reactions until the start of its next turn. Must like thick water. Like, the circumstance bonus to AC isn't that big, because anyone with a shield can grab that. But it's more, you know, anyone who ends the turn within 30 feet of you has to do a fortitude saving throw, or gets sickened. Sorry, not sickened. Can't use reactions. And I guess that's kind of... This is also passive. Like, you don't have to use actions to activate it. I think the bot's one is status. No reaction, you save? Shove. I think there's so many things you could do with it. The rest of them here are just either the more focused spells. Excuse me, it's called an aura. Mortem Ultimatum is the 10th level. Now, oh, we're actually doing really good for time. Necromancer Grave Spells! Now, we've already been through Great Thrall, but let's start going through some of this. Bind Heroic Spirit. This is Focus 9, so it's 18th level feat. 2 actions. For 1 minute, you gain a +3 stats bonus to attack rolls and saving throws. Whenever you successfully hit a creature with a strike, create a thrall in a space adjacent to your target that lasts for 1 minute. So yeah, yeah, I'm thinking there's gonna be a lot of melee build Necromancers. Which makes me wonder why they don't have like a medium armor class feat. Like you become proficient in medium armor made from bone or hide. +3 is making up for that only expert. Exactly. Bone Spear has a range of 10 feet, 1 creature. You shape a thrall into a spear of jagged bone, destroy one of your thralls, then make a melee spell attack roll against the AC of each creature in a 15-foot line from where the thrall was. The spear deals 1d8 piercing damage. The spell counts as 2 attacks towards your multiple attack penalty, but the penalty doesn't increase until you've made all the attacks. Oh god, think of the hit all enemies in reach dedication feats? Yeah. Yeah, thralls are just key. But you can get rid of the thralls. I don't do PFS anymore, but I feel sorry for all the PFS GMs who will have to deal with this. Because suddenly they're going to be dealing with a lot of Necromancers and having to play whack-a-mole. But this is interesting. So range 10 feet, so you have to target the thrall within 10 feet. And thinking about it, because you can pray thralls within 30 feet, so you can easily set yourself up. Melee Necromancer? Yeah, no, I hear you, I hear you. Bony Barrage! 30-foot cone. You shattered the skeleton of the thrall within 30 feet, destroying it and creating a volley of phalanges, teeth, and vertebrae in a 30-foot cone from where the thrall was. Each creature in the area takes 2d10 piercing damage with a basic reflex save. When you cast Bony Barrage, you can shatter a second thrall in the cone's area to cover your allies in bone armor. If you do, the cone doesn't affect your allies, and any ally in the area gains +1 status bonus to AC until the start of your next turn. Each thrall you shatter is destroyed. So, something to note here. Particularly the second sentence, if you do, the cone doesn't affect your allies. So if you only break one of your thralls, and you have an ally in the cone, they still get fucked. Just realized they just made the Diablo 3 Necromancer? Yes! As someone who played a fair bit of Diablo 3, yeah, no, they've absolutely they've just recreated the Diablo 3 Necromancer. I, for one, don't mind! Nice buff potential with that, yeah, because it's a status bonus, so it'll stack with the circumstance bonuses you can give them from other things. Conglomerate of Limbs! You conjure forth a huge thrall that has 40 hit points. Whenever an enemy begins its turn adjacent to this thrall, it must succeed at a fortitude saving throw or become grabbed by the thrall for 1 round or until it escapes. Once per round on subsequent turns, you can sustain the spell to have the thrall stride up to 15 feet, using its many limbs to drag itself across the ground. Heighten, the thrall's hit points increase by 10. Now, we've already had established up top with thralls, they automatically fail any saving throws that they have to make. But still, 40 hit points means that they'll be able to take a hit or two. And because it's huge, it can block stuff. That's the blood from that indie game. Carrion, I think? What I kind of would like to see, and I'm not sure if they'll do it for the within the eventual book itself, but I would like to see spell shapes that allow you to do extra things with your thralls or build onto them. No, the one where you play the boy. Not sure then. Great thrall, we've been through that one. Dead weight. You cause a thrall to launch itself at a creature within 15 feet, then necromantically warp the thrall's body to fuse around the creature. The creature must attempt a fortitude saving throw. This spell ends if the thrall is destroyed or a creature that failed to save successfully escapes. It's a struggle cuddle. Or a struggle snuggle. Inside, that's the game. Ah, yes, I know that one. Very good self-sustain on this class, though. That's the other thing. But the target takes minus 10 foot status penalty speeds. The target is mobilized. The target is grabbed and immobilized. Oh, the target is grabbed as well. You can, but that's still an action. And I think that's the main thing that dead weight is going for here. Well, because some things will be better at doing the escape than they would be at doing an actual attack. Oh, actually, no. Weird brings up a good point. So, dead weight, it latches on. No. No. Where was it? If a creature adjacent to one of your rolls uses a manipulate action or a move action, makes a ranged attack or leaves a square during a move action it's using, and you are within 60 feet of the thrall. Yeah, so with... because the thrall isn't destroyed when it does the struggle cuddle. So if they try to run while they have attached, you can just make it explode. They also hit a thrall though. Yeah, no, I do get your point, Juliet. I do, and I do think it's a little strange, but I think what they're doing a lot with the thralls is it's action taxing the enemy. Though if you don't think I'm going to put some of these on an NPC, you're severely mistaken. Flesh Tsunami! Because that's a pair of words we like to use. You melt one of your thralls within 30 feet, destroying it and creating a wave of sticky liquid flesh that floods out in a 60-foot cone. The area becomes greater difficult terrain. When you cast Flesh Tsunami, you can liquefy a second thrall, which must be in the cone's area, to make its limbs grasp your foes. If you do, each enemy in the area must attempt a fortitude saving throw. It's the build on dead weight. But everyone in a 30-foot cone. But at least in this case, both rolls are actually destroyed. Easiest way to deal with melee thralls in a Radiance Shard 6 action. Yeah, because it does the anyone within melee just takes 1 damage. Give him the icky sticky. God. Burst. See, I know Foundry has the animation macros for Pathfinder 2nd edition. I'm not sure if I want to see Flesh Tsunami animated. Like, I've seen Flesh Tsunami animated, I've watched Akira. Life tap. Using a thrall as a vessel, you attempt to drain the essence of a creature and use it for yourself. The target thrall strides up to 30 feet, then one creature of your choice adjacent to it must attempt a fortitude saving throw. The target thrall is then destroyed. Creature is drained 1 but recovers after 1 minute on a success. You or an ally of your choice within 30 feet of the thrall will gain hit points equal to the amount the creature lost by becoming drained. As success but drain 2, as success but drain 3. Life tap, focus 1. It's what you get from being a Vitamancer. A spirit necromancer. Drained at level 1. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. You have to spend a focus point to use it. Drained is brutal though, especially at lower levels. And I should also point out, 1, drained on a success, and 2, it doesn't have incapacitate. So without incapacitate, you're dropping this on bosses, 100% guaranteed. I feel without incapacitate, life tap is overtuned. Because if I remember right, drained also does a penalty to... Where is it? Downtime and oh, drained. Something is leech. Drained. You take a status penalty equal to your drained value on constitution-based checks and fortitude saves. Yeah. Yeah, it's true HP. It's not temp HP. But yeah, you're absolutely dropping this on your boss fights. Like, this will be... There's so many spells that key off of Fortitude as well. Yeah, fort dropping is very strong. So I think Life Tap needs Incapacitate. Now, there's gonna be some people that's like, the thrall is destroyed though! It's like, yeah, no, whatever. You can just replace them. Living Graveyard. This is one of the big level 20 focus spells. You conjure forth a gargantuan thrall that has 400 hit points. This thrall is a walking bulk of graves and tombstones held together by the buried dead. The living graveyard violently shakes. All creatures in a 10-foot emanation must succeed a fortitude saving throw or fall prone. Additionally, 5 thralls, using the base thrall statistics, fall from their graves into empty spaces adjacent to the living graveyard. These additional thralls last until the spell ends. Once per round on subsequent turns, you can sustain the spell to have the living graveyard stride with 60 feet and cause 3 additional thralls to fall from their graves into empty spaces along its path. Like, this is a level 20 thing, but I do want to see a full stat block for the living graveyard. Like, I want to see someone make the full monster for it. And Eldritch, I'm not sure if you're going to be listening to this on the VOD or not, but I would like to see a full monster stat block for this thing. Because there's nothing really stopping GMs from just having creatures with a thrall trait. And something that, you know, makes them immune to other necromancers trying to use it. But because a creature that can create thralls of their own, or just things that work like the thralls, it's an interesting thing for designers looking at monsters. I'm imagining this themed all Day of the Dead, right? Muscle barrier! We'll go back to the necromummy in a second. I know people want to see her. 60 feet, 1 thrall, 1 minute. You transform a thrall into layers of thick muscle that wrap around you or an ally. The thrall is split in pieces and flung towards a willing creature within 15 feet of it, destroying the thrall and granting that creature 10 temporary hit points. The creature gains a +1 status bonus to athletics checks until the spell ends. The spell ends if all temporary hit points are gone. Oh yeah, definitely needs proper stat block for something like that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, GM's not allowed to because no, that's mean. Eh. GM's is supposed to be mean. See my vest, made of some guy named Jeff. Necrotic Bomb, I think this was the other one. 60 feet, 1 thrall, basic reflex. You overload one of your thralls with void energy, causing it to explode. All creatures within a 10-foot emanation of the thrall take 1d12 void damage with a basic reflex save. This destroys the thrall. Don't be mean to me, Matt. You already killed my bird with the last necromancer. Hey, I could have made it into a thrall, and I didn't. I could have made your bird into a thrall, and just have one of the Grave Knights just bop it once. But looking at the focus spells, there is definitely a caster route for the Necromancer. Clear. Perfected Thrall. This is the upper level 21. You create a... Don't worry, I'll scroll down a little bit more. Is that good for everyone? You create a perfect thrall made of pure muscle, covered in a floating exoskeleton. Thank you for the bits, Hiatus Spots. You create a thrall that has 200 hit points. Whenever you use an ability that would destroy this thrall, it instead loses 20 hit points. Once per round on subsequent turns, you can sustain the spell to have this thrall stride to 30 feet and have it strike an adjacent enemy using your spell attack modifier. On a hit, the target takes 7d10 damage. Once again, this is level 20, but that's still like 10 thrall uses there. Okay. Let's talk about the lady for a second, because yes, lady hot. No one's arguing there. So with the what was it, the War of the Immortals playtest, we got the names for the iconics. Like, what's her name? Like, I want to know what her name is. What's her story? Because the other picture they have is the iconic for the Haunt Collector. Not the Haunt Collector, the Exorcist. I want to know her name. And not just so I can drop her as an NPC into my games. Like, they did cook on that art. Let's be fair here. You call her Mistress or Mommy. We've had a minute to appreciate. Yeah? Okay. Recurring Nightmare. You conjure a thrall within range. Unlike other thralls, the nightmare can share space with other creatures, and other creatures can move through its space with ease. This thrall doesn't fall if in the air, and any ability that would make it stride makes it fly instead. If this thrall is summoned into or ends its flight in a creature's space, the creature must succeed a will saving throw or become frightened 1. Frightened 2 on a critical failure. Once per round on subsequent turns, you can sustain the spell to have the thrall fly up to 60 feet, or to resummon the thrall within range if it has been destroyed. See, that's pretty cool. Skeletal Lancers. You create 5 thralls in different spaces within range. These thralls carry skeletal lances with a reach of 10 feet. When an enemy makes a strike while in reach of a skeletal lancer thrall, the lancer deals 5 piercing damage to it. The enemy takes this damage only once, even if it's in reach of multiple skeletal lancers. Once per round on subsequent turns, you can sustain the spell to have any number of these thralls strike up to 30 feet. Hey, Juliet! You're rogue. Would this trigger the rogue's, it's not gang up. Opportune backstab. Lancer Corpse Explosion? Yeah, no, I've seen that combo as well already. Because they need to hit. I mean, that would be GM interpretation then, because the Lancer deals 5 piercing damage, that's not necessarily a hit. The trigger is damage. Like if they take damage from an ally, then that's opportune backstab territory. But level 14 is hit by a melee attack from one of your allies. Yeah. See, I would probably allow it, but I wouldn't be against any GM who says otherwise. Zombie Horde. This is the last focus spell. 60 feet, squares on the ground in a 10-foot burst, 1 minute. You lure in a horde of ravenous zombies by sacrificing a thrall. The area must contain one of your thralls in it. Your thrall is destroyed. The horde's area is difficult terrain, and whenever a creature begins its turn in the horde, it takes 3d4 bludgeoning damage with a basic fortitude save. I would kind of like this to specify if it's area damage or not. Once per round on subsequent turns, you can sustain the spell to move the area up to 10 feet. If you move the area onto one or more of your thralls, you can destroy one thrall it moved onto to increase the size of the area's burst by 5 feet. Holy shit. Unfortunately, I have to go to bed before it gets any later. Good night, all. That's all good. Thank you for joining us, June Julie. I will say this will be going up onto the YouTube. Where's my socials? That. Alternatively, there we go. I will be putting this up on YouTube in about 48 hours in alignment with Twitch policies. Okay, so Lancer's Horde. Yeah, no, I'm seeing that as well. Just gather more and more of a horde. But that's it for the Necromancer. I mean, we got a little bit of time before I'm gonna do the break, but we'll scroll back up to Necromancy. Having given it a second read and discussing it with everyone in chat, I am feeling like the Necromancer is definitely a gish, like Juliet suggested, because you can build it for casting or you can build it for melee. You could quite easily go either way and it would be fine. And I think that's a good thing. I wouldn't mind seeing it have a medium armor option, even as a class feat, similar to what they have for the cleric, where you can pick up that feat at like 2nd level or something. It gives you heavy armor, but for this it would be medium armor, of course. And I would restrict it to being either leather, hide, or bone. Like the armor has to be made of bone. Also, thank you, Nightbot, for spamming chat with even more links. Total Fontos. The problem I see with melee is that the proficiency doesn't increase well enough. Yeah, I don't think it increases well enough. They got some feats there to kind of make up for it. Because this, for instance, what you could do. Where is it? Because it was a pretty early. Not that early, actually. Because with Desperate Surge, it allows you to make it allows you to do some of the combat maneuvers using your spell attack instead. The good thing there is, especially if you're using a scythe. Where's our scythe? There it is. Because the scythe has trip. So silk is fine. Yeah, no, silk would be fine as well. So if you were really speccing your necromancer out for martial, you would be encouraged to take the scythe, because you'd be able to use your spell attack roll for it instead of athletics, and you could also add the item bonus from the fundamental rune on your scythe to make it even better. And there was that other feat that allowed you to just summon 8th level austere armaments. So there you go. There's probably some fun access to use too. Yeah, so I'm working on an archetype at the moment. People who are watching Rustenge will have seen the early iterations of it with the Ursine Forester, which does a lot of building off of axes. And I could definitely see a Necromancer that's also an Ursine Forester. And that just terrifies me. The other thing you could possibly do is pair it up with one of the martial archetypes and just watch your proficiency go up a little bit. Like, it's never going to be frontline. You're never going to use this to replace a rogue or a fighter. Skelly Bear Wife. Yeah, let's not tell Dwarf the app. But I can absolutely see it working. Support melee or caster. Definitely a summoner. I'm looking forward. I'm not going to do it myself to begin with because this is the playtest, but I'm looking forward to seeing what's done with class archetypes for it, because I would like to see this chassis put onto other themes. I might do it as something for fun in the background, but I'd like to see whatever, like, the whole thrall mechanic is so fascinating. You can do so much with it, just with a little bit of reflavoring here and there. And I don't know, I'm excited about what it's meaning for the future. Pictomancer? Yeah, like, bring paintings to life. Might have to re-look over my hallucinist archetype as well, because now I've got a proper basis for hallucinations or for illusionary clones. Can use those instead. We are going to go on a break because I need to run Twitch ads, just so we can keep those pre-rolls away. Also, I need to refill my coffee and just generally give my voice a little bit of a rest and hydrate a bit. Flesh Tsunami is a bit more acceptable as a type of paint. Yeah, just a smidge. Just a smudge. Alright, we're gonna go on that break. It's not like we're giving out hero points or anything tonight, so I don't have anything to really play during the, or put up during the... You know what? I am gonna run a poll question. There's not gonna be any stakes for it, but we'll just see how it goes. Okay. We shall see you back here in about 10 minutes. Maybe less, depending on how I do with my coffee and stuff like that. But we shall see you then. It might just come back then. Because I'm kind of eager to go for the Runesmith as well. Is there something going wrong with the chat thing? No, it should be fine. Okay. Strange. Anyway. But, so, don't tell my Gatewalkers players, but the Black Frost Maiden, I've been trying to figure out what to do with her, mechanics-wise. I think I'm going to make her a Necromancer. I think that would be fun. Summoning the undead from the ice. And have them do like Black Frost themed stuff around the Necromancer type things. I think that'll be a lot of fun. You're telling them right now? You're not going to tell me, are you? They don't need to know. It can be a surprise, just a special surprise. Get old Game of Thrones in their face. Well, that's part of the theming for Gatewalkers, so I'm just going to be leaning into what's already there. But, all that said, the poll's still going, so we'll see how that finishes up. The Runesmith! This is the second class. At the heart of all communication is the word, and at the heart of all magic is the rune. Equal parts scholar and artist, you devote yourself to the study of these mystic symbols, learning to carve, etch, brand, and paint the building blocks of magic to channel powers greater than yourself. So, intelligence key attribute, hit points 8, same as the Necromancer. But it's saying equal parts scholar and artist. Let's go through the proficiencies, shall we? Necromancy is an actual heart. I have a heart. I keep it in my backpack. Runesmith. Proficiencies. Perception, trained. Saving throws, expert in fortitude. Trained in reflex, expert in will. Skills, trained in crafting. Trained in your choice of arcana, nature, occultism, or religion. Trained in a number of additional skills equal to 2+ your intelligence modifier. Attacks. Trained in simple weapons, trained in martial, trained in unarmed attacks. Defenses. Trained in light armor, medium armor, and unarmored defense. A scholar and an artist with full martial proficiency. And medium armor. It says scholar and artist. Fighter and hot. Yeah, who's hot? Yeah, it's just the ass of the blade. Hey, some of the greatest scholars kick my. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying there's a slight disconnect with the theming. But that's the proficiencies. Really? Split? The split on the poll? Okay. And no one contributed extra either. Okay. Poll is in, the results is geesh. No. Should have known. Also, before we keep going, I should also point out and remind people, because I don't think there were people here at the start. 5 subs, or one of my phone things gets fully funded. And I will do, for one of these 3-hour streams, the complete waifu handbook. Honestly, considering the size of this thing, because it is 350 pages, I'd probably have to dedicate at least 2 streams to it. Even just for the Pathfinder stuff. But otherwise, back to the playtest, specifically with the Runesmith. Key terms. There is a part of me that kind of hopes that they change the language somewhat from rune to glyph or something. I don't think they will, but I feel like there's going to be a little bit of problem with confusion. I brought this up in Pathfinder's stream earlier today. But a runesmith doesn't cast spells, but they can apply various magical effects through the runes. Runes can be applied via etching or tracing. Etched runes are applied in exploration mode and last indefinitely, while traced runes last only until the end of your next turn. Their effects, however, are the same. Several abilities refer to creatures bearing one of your runes known as rune bearers. This is any creature who has one of your runes applied to its body or to any gear it is holding. Invocation. An invocation action allows a runesmith to surge power for a rune by uttering its true name. Invocation requires you to be able to speak clearly in a strong voice and requires that you be within 30 feet of the target rune or runes unless another ability changes this. The target rune then fades away immediately after the action resolves. Runesmith is what Kineticist wishes it could be. Wow. Shots fired. Diacritic. A diacritic is a special type of rune that is not applied directly to a creature or object, but rather to another rune itself, modifying or empowering that base rune. A diacritic can never be applied by itself, and any effect that would remove or invoke the base rune always also removes or invokes the diacritic rune. A rune can only have one diacritic. So by the wording there, you can apply two, but you have to have both. Ancestry and background, everything we're kind of aware of. Attribute abuse and initial proficiency. Runes and their creation! Kinesis is severely worse than the numbers shown here. Well, I'm not here to do a full math breakdown of it, but I am seeing a lot of proficiencies already that kind of puts it a tad above the kineticist. Runes and their creation. Through meticulous study, you have carved the knowledge of secret runes into your mind and body. You can apply special runesmith runes onto objects and creatures, which grant the bearer magical effects. You must know a rune to use it, and you learn runes via the Runic Repertoire class feature. Applying runes. All runes can be applied in one of two ways. A rune can be etched or merely traced. An etched rune is carved, inked, or branded in, though this application does not damage the creature or item. Etching runes requires an artisan's toolkit. Your magic can sustain up to 2 etched runes at a time, and you can etch any number of runes up to this maximum during your daily preparations and when you spend 10 minutes in exploration mode. As you increase in level, the maximum amount of etched runes you can have at a given time increases. Your etched runes remain indefinitely until they're expended or removed, or until you etch more runes than your maximum, which causes your oldest rune to fade. However, a traced rune is drawn lightly in dust, light, or similar fleeting medium. You can trace runes with the below action. 1 or 2 actions, very quickly. The 1 action version, you have to be adjacent. The 2 action version, you can do within 30 feet. Kineticist only ever get a +2 item bonus to hit. Why? Because high speeds. Oh, okay. Specifically you. Specifically you. Aw, thanks for gifting this tier 1 sub. Just 4 left. The tracing runes is an interesting thing. It does take a little while to go through the first time, but once you have it all set up, I think it's quicker. I gifted a rune in like 5 seconds the other day for Dwarf's chat. Invoking runes is also an action. One of the things I'm noticing, not just with the playtest for the Necromancer and the Runesmith, but also with ones previously, there's a lot of class abilities and class stuff that's only 1 action. Whereas we're seeing a lot of spell stuff that's 2 actions, but this is 1 action. And I get why, because you want to be able to do your class stuff every turn. But it just kind of sucks. I wish there were more 1 action spells. But, invoking the rune, you utter the name of 1 or more of your runes within 30 feet. The rune blazes with power, applying the effect in its invocation entry. The rune then fades away, its task completed. You can invoke any number of runes with a single invoke rune action, but creatures that would be affected by multiple copies of the same specific rune are affected only once, as normal for duplicate effects. Doing your class stuff every turn is for losers and make it endure. What, you don't want to repeat the same actions over and over again? Runic magic. Runes and magical effects. Some runes have a specific tradition. Kind of to skim through a fair bit of this. basically what it's saying is that if a rune that you are putting on something doesn't already have a built-in trait from one of the 4 magical traditions, you can just add one. Runic repertoire. This is what you get. So at first level, you have 4. It increases every 2-ish levels until maximum of 13. Well, not a maximum, until 13 at 19th level, and the maximum S runes goes all the way up to 6. They get shield block. Now this was one of the fun ones. Runic crafter. Your study of secret runes leaves you well practiced in crafting their more common cousins. You gain the magical crafting skill feat at level 2, even if you don't meet the prerequisites. You automatically gain the formulas for the fundamental armor runes, shield runes, and fundamental weapon runes as soon as your level equals each items. So this is just auto giving you the runes. You practice your runes so thoroughly you can draw them by heart, and so do not need a formula book to record the formula of any runes you learn how to create. This last line here suggests that even if you pick up the runes for property runes, for instance, you don't need to copy them into a formula book. You just remember them in your noggin. Skill feats, general feats, same as usual. Skill increases, same as usual. There was something interesting, and I'll point it out. So, runic optimization. This is the Runesmith's version of weapon spec. Dang, I can't steal my Runesmith's formula book to cripple them. But I thought it was a guitar to begin with as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the posture model for it, someone with a guitar. You've learned to draw upon the magic of weapon runes to deal greater damage. You deal 2 additional damage with weapons bearing a striking rune. This damage increases to 3 if the weapon bears a greater striking rune, and 4 if it bears a major striking rune. So this is extra damage, but only if the weapon has striking runes on it. What are musical notes if no runes upon paper? Yeah, we'll get to that one. Assured runic crafter. You're so used to tracing and etching runes in the field that when given the peace and quiet of a proper workshop, it's hard for things to go astray. When you roll a check to craft a magic item in downtime, and that item is a permanent rune, you get the outcome 1 degree of success better than the result of your crafting check. You can't crit fail as a rune crafter when it comes to runes. That's pretty massive. Smith's Endurance. Most of this is pretty standard. Greater runic optimization at 15th level, 4, 5, and 6. So you just assurance it, yeah. It's a bit like assurance, but it's more of a just auto upgrade. Combo that with assurance and you should always succeed or crit. That is the other thing. Ah, I see. As long as, yeah, if you had this and assurance, as long as it's your level or lower, you would always succeed. You could not fail. That's... Alright, as for the actual feats. Backup runic enhancement, you get Sigil as an innate cantrip, and once per day you can cast either runic body or runic weapon as an innate spell. The rank of these spells is equal to half your level rounded up, and the tradition can be any tradition from which you are at least trained in the related skill. I gotta remember that wording for my own work. Runic body and runic weapon is fine. I could see a runesmith doing really well with an animal companion because of that. Yep. Engraving Strike. You draw a rune onto the surface of your weapon in reverse. The mark branding or bruising itself into your target in the moment of impact. Make a melee strike with the weapon. On a success, you trace a rune onto the target of the strike. I thought Runic Body did because it applies to natural weapons. And animal companions use natural weapon proficiency for their attacks. I could be wrong. No, fuck. Of course. No, I'm not getting into the animal companion rant. Nope, not gonna do it. Remote detonation. Free action. Once per round, you whisper an invocation over an arrow or sling bullet as you fire it, and the hissing of the missile through the air sounds just like your murmured voice. If you successfully hit with a ranged attack with physical ammunition, you also invoke all the runes on the target as the missile's whispering sets off. If the strike is a critical success, the target takes -1 circumstance penalty on all saving throws. They hate animals, you forget. They hate animal companions. I like remote detonation because it's a free action and you can use it with a strike. There's a lot of building on the Runesmith for ranged attacks actually, and it's kind of nice. Rune Singer. This one just feels out of place. Once again, Pathfinder brought this up as well. You practice the lost art of using music to guide the act of carving your runes, singing them into existence as much as crafting them. You can use performance instead of crafting when attempting crafting checks related to runes. Once per minute, you can trace a rune with song alone, removing the need to have a free hand, removing the manipulate trait from trace rune and allowing you to use the 2-action version of trace rune as a single action. You don't need to be able to move your hands when tracing a rune using song, but you do need to be able to sing in a clear voice. Yeah, I love the idea of Rune Singer. Like, I love the idea of the feat, but I would like to see it either as a class archetype or class archetype for the bard. Like, that would be great. That would be fantastic. But no, that's my problem with it as well, Juliet. It just feels totally inconsistent. And this is the only feat that builds off of it. Or this is the only feat for it. You don't have other feats in here that build off of Rune Singer. So this feels more like if you're playing a bard and then you pick up Rune Singer for the class for your multi-class archetype or a class archetype, then you can quickly grab Rune Singer and you're good to go. Thanks, Nightbot. What I do really like about the Runesmith though is it has a lot of support for shields. Fortifying knock. Once per round you are wielding a shield. Your shield is a natural canvas for your art. In one motion you raise a shield and trace a rune on your shield. This feels like, hey, I'm human at level 1, this seems silly. Too much support for shields. No, more support for shields! More! Like, give me something that builds off of this if you have a tower shield or something. But, raise a shield, trace a rune. Beautiful, love it. Dual wielding shields, right? What was the one I was thinking of earlier? Because there's a lot of support here for the shield. In Black Powder Magic and Blood, we wrote up a couple of attached weapons that attach onto the shield, and it's like, so one hand, Artisan's Toolkit. Other hand, shield with gun attached to it. We're just good to go at that point. I'm playing with a shield companion and it's cracked. It's a lot of fun. I've had a shield champion in the game before, and it's hard to get through. Especially if they're really on with the reactions. Invisible Link. After your rune is drawn, it flares once and then fades, leaving only the barest mark. You can use the Conceal an Object action with any of your applied runes to hide the rune, on the object or creature to whom you have applied it. The GM rolls a crafting check instead of stealth. So you could probably drop this on creatures pretty easily. And then they just don't notice it. The front line never takes damage. Oh, I'm sure they take damage. Just not from strikes. Could do other things. Runic tattoo. Drawing your favorite rune in your flesh, you know you'll never be without it. Choose one rune you know which you apply as a tattoo to your body. The rune is always etched on your body and doesn't count towards your maximum limit of etched runes. You can invoke this rune like any of your other runes, but once invoked, the rune fades significantly and is drained of power until your next daily preparations. You can magically alter your runic tattoo to change it to another rune you know with a week of downtime. Slight story time. There was a point during my work on Sinclair's Almanac where it was like, hey, I was pitching the tattoo artist type at the time. It was like, hey, how about we allow runes to be put onto people as tattoos? And I was told at the time, no, that's not a thing. They're never going to do it because that would be cracked. Or it'd be OP, or, you know, too powerful. You couldn't do that. And like, seems to be happening a lot. Lo and behold, runic tattoos, yes. It's a thing, and it's being done. Yep, well, call them eggs, because it's good. I think the Vital Forge gets runes tattooed in Sinclair's. I believe so, yeah. I argued with it, and I argued hard, and we eventually got it in. Smithing weapons familiarity. Though you are an artisan, you are well versed in using the tools of your trade to fend off enemies. You have familiarity with weapons in the hammer, pick, and knife weapon groups. For the purposes of proficiency, you treat any of these that are martial weapons as simple weapons, and any that are advanced weapons as martial weapons. Hammer covers an awful lot. So does pick. Well, pick doesn't cover an awful lot, but there's a lot of fun stuff in there. Why do you need what? Couple of tasty combo weapons, yeah. Juliet is a little bit correct there, however, because Runesmith already has martial weapon proficiency. So unless there's some really good advanced weapons that you want, you know what? I think I have it on the... Yeah. Alright. Nope, nope, nope. Oh, okay. That's it for the advanced weapons and the core? In core? There are no advanced hammers? Are there any advanced knives? Or is this going to be one of those things where I'd have to check the... not Impossible Vault. Treasure Vault. Star Knife? No, I think Star Knife's martial. Yeah, martial. Bladed Hoop? That is a deep cut. It did say you treat martial weapons as simple. Maybe you can combo that with feats that are simple specific. Oh, you're talking like, oh, I see what you're going for there. That's... where is it? Oh, deity with a simple or unarmed attack. Favorite weapon, damn. But I'm pretty sure you can get deadly simplicity through other ways. But I do see where you're going with that, Ian. Also, welcome in. So Bladed Tube, Fang Huash, Huden. Nope, I'm not gonna do that. Well, let's go back to it. For the purposes of proficiency, you treat any of these that are martial weapons as simple weapons and any that are advanced weapons as martial weapons. So I think it would cover some of the treasurable weapons, and that's about it. I meant to jump in earlier, got hooked playing Marvel Rivals, that's fine. I have it installed on my PlayStation, have not had a chance to play it yet. Whether I get to playing it or not. So yeah, I'm kind of with Juliet. I don't know why this... Maybe this is a leftover from an earlier iteration where it didn't have martial proficiency. I'm not sure. But Artist's Attendance, level 4. 2 actions. Your runes call you to better attend to your art. Stride twice. If you end your movement within reach of a creature that is bearing one of your runes, you can trace a rune upon any creature adjacent to you. You can use Artist's Attendance while buffering, climbing, flying, or swimming instead of striding. So this is just basic action progression. And it will get you into the combat a lot quicker. Especially if you're like doing the heavy armor stuff with a tower shield, for example, wink wink. P.S. Myself and literally have not been able to play with any of my Overwatch friends. They all seem to have their own groups. Yeah. Oh good, Hyenas Butts. Thank you for the bits again. I'm trying to think whether that's going to count towards a little total for the waifu handbook. But no, sleep well. Ghostly Resonance. Your runes can not only draw power from the world of the spirits, but they can let even the most mundane objects harm spiritual beings as well. You can choose to grant any creatures or item bearing one of your divine or occult runes the benefits of a Ghost Touch rune for as long as they are bearing your rune. Wait, I lied. Pigs have 2 racial weapons. You get gnome pigs and kobold pigs. Can we just let the kobolds keep their pigs, please? So they fall into the small category of pigs. Yeah. Terrifying Invocation. This is action compression again, but a G-Wizard is about to get very upset with this. You attempt to demoralize a single target within range, and then invoke 1 rune upon the target. You can demoralize the target as long as they are within range of your invocation, and you don't take a penalty if the creature doesn't understand your language. We're gonna double check the invocation range. "30 feet as well." Okay, so that's not too bad. But I do think there is a feat the Runesmith gets later on that allows you to extend the range of your invocation. Transpose Etching. With a pinching gesture, you pick up a word and move it elsewhere. You move any one of your runes within 30 feet to a different target within 30 feet. Which is just fun. So, technically speaking, you could use allies to store your runes if you want. There is. And I think we are getting to it. Runic Reprisal. When you raise your shield, you bury a runic trap into it, to be set off by the clash of an enemy weapon. When you use Fortifying Knock, you can trace a damaging rune on your shield, even if it could not normally be applied to a shield. The traced rune doesn't have its normal effect, instead fading into your shield. If you shield block with the shield against an adjacent target, you can invoke the rune as a part of the reaction, causing the rune to detonate outwards and apply its invocation effect to the attacking creature. Wow. Tracing Trance. Your turn begins. You become quickened until the end of your turn and can use the extra action only to trace runes, including to supply 1 action if using the 2-action version of Trace Rune. Absorbed in the act of creation, you can't use any invocation actions this turn. Low magic trap on your shield? Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And it's the invocation version as well, so it's a little bit more powerful. At 6, no frequency? No! I do think some of these are like the lack of an invocation, and you will see is not being able to invocate is something of a power balancer, but without frequency it does seem a little bit, it seems powerful, but then level 6 is a lot of great ones. Vital Composite Invocation. As you invoke runes from traditions that manipulate vital energy, you can release that energy to restore flesh. You invoke 2 runes of your choice on a single creature. One must be a divine rune and one must be a primal rune. So this is your tradition kind of mixing up. In addition to the rune's normal effects, the creature also regains hit points equal to your intelligence modifier plus double your level. It's not a lot of hit points, but if you already have the runes on them, that's pretty good. Yeah, I think with Tracing Trance, you'd use it as you'd do a setup turn. So you'd spend one turn just laying down as many as possible. Because what? With that reduction, you could do 2 runes at range, or 1 at range and 2 adjacent. But actually, that reminds me. Because I don't think it actually calls it out. Is it still called a raise? Because there is, I know there's a spell that allows you to erase. Lithograph, Figment, Daze. Right, Water, Golden Puck. If someone could look that up for me. Because I know there's a spell that allows you to erase sigils, or at least erase writing. 1E Nephis doesn't show a 2E version. I'm sure it made it over to 2E. I'm sure it did. I'm feeling alright, resist. Oh, it's gonna take me too long to find it. I'll have a look later, but I'm sure it's in 2E somewhere. But if it does exist, that would be that would be something that GMs can put in their arsenal for their enemy creatures. Just erase the runes as they appear. Words fly free. Just because your runes are tattooed on your body doesn't mean they need to remain there. You fling your hand out, the rune from your runing tattoo flowing down it and flying through the air in a crescent. You trace the rune onto all creatures or objects within a 15-foot cone that match the rune's usage requirement. The rune then returns to you faded. See, if I was going to do a remaster version of anything from the Almanac, it would probably be the Tattoo Mystic, and I would mix in some Runesmith stuff. Deleting Starfinder 2E, not seeing anything in Pathfinder 2. Okay, fair enough. And suddenly think of the animated spellbook's erase episode. I love the animated spellbook. It's so good. So good. Drawn in red. After striking the target, you run a brush or a finger along your weapon to collect a bit of its blood for the next minute. When you trace a rune and the target is that creature, you can do so at a range of 60 feet as a single action. Using Drawn in Red against a different creature requires you to wipe off or otherwise discard the blood used for a previous creature, which you can do so as a free action. So, This means you can trace a rune at 60 feet. We remember the demoralized thing. Yeah, Jilliet's got it. Demoralize at 60 feet. It does require the blood first, though. You're absolutely correct. But if they try to run away from you, or you want to step away from the fight, you can still demoralize them from 60 feet away. Elemental Revision is just good. Especially if you're in one of those adventures where there's a lot of different elemental creatures. Get a familiar to run it over, just casually. Oh, actually, that's a... So special Runesmith familiar thing that the familiar is allowed to, like, carry runes. Elemental Revision. You touch an adjacent corrosive, flaming, frost, shock, or thundering rune on an unattended item or one held by a willing creature, and you change it to any other rune from that list. This revision lasts for 1 minute. Why is longer demoralized so taboo you can only do it once? Well... Read the Bones is another weird one. Using ancient scripts, you carve a question into bone before casting it into fire where it cracks. This minor ritual takes 10 minutes. By interpreting the cracks, you can gain the effects of augury related to the question carved in the bone. I get it, because there is a grand tradition of using runes carved onto bone to do fortune telling and other divinations and stuff like that. It just feels out of place. Yeah, weird you got it. This is the same with what Julia pointed out with the Rune Singer. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's doesn't kind of blend into the whole rune thing. It just feels out of place in the class. Chain of Words. You see the thin lines of magic between your creations. You exploit that connection with a small shift of power traveling from one rune to another. Invoke runes on 2 different rune bearers within 60 feet. In addition to the rune's normal effects, a chain of glowing script flows between them, dealing 5d6 force damage to all creatures in the line, but not the rune bearers. Creatures can attempt a basic reflex saving throw. On a critical failure, they are restrained as the runes seal their movement until the end of your next turn, or until they escape. At 12th level and every 2 levels thereafter, the damage increases by 1d6. See, that's just fun. I'm not sure how often you'd be able to pull it off, but that would be a lot of fun. Me more editing error is meant for Necro. Well, never cross the streams, but that's how you beat the big things. Also, Chain of Words. Anyone play Chain of Memories? I don't think it really makes sense, but... Clashing Composite Invocation. Oh, I like this one. This was a hilarious one we went for on Pathfinder. As you invoke runes from disparate traditions of magic, their diametrically opposed effects repel each other in a destructive backlash. You invoke 2 runes of your choice on a single creature, which must be from opposed traditions of magic. Either 1 arcane and 1 divine rune, or 1 occult and 1 primal rune. In addition to the rune's normal effects, the target must also attempt a fortitude saving throw as destructive magical harmonics clash in their body. So, chat, what do we think the effect's gonna be? I'll wait. Drained? Okay. Any bets for just damage? Arcane and divine spells opposed. Apparently, they don't want to do the Mystic Theurge anymore. It sucks. Off guard. Ooh. Success! The target is sickened 1, but if they take an action to steady themselves, the sickened condition ends immediately. Failure, the target is sickened 1. Critical failure, the target is sickened 2. As you invoke runes from disparate traditions of magic, their diametrically opposed effects repel each other in a destructive backlash that causes sickened. 7 out of 10 IGN. It's because Paizo can't afford bribing IGN. This is the first thing I've seen that any spell traditions are opposed. So, this is something that I will talk about just briefly. So, Impossible playtest. Impossible suggests that this is going to be for the Impossible lands. So Geb and Nex, a lot of people have already been pointing this out because Geb is very much the undead. Nex is all about the magic. I apologize if I got them mixed up. I always get them mixed up. But I think we're gonna get more conversations about what it... I think whatever magic book they do with Impossible, that was right, yes, right. I've had this talk with my new 2E players. Paizo seems to have a bad labeling issue with 2E. Sickened might be technically correct, but yeah, that sounds underwhelming. It does, it just feels underwhelming. That's my only issue with it. Like, Sickened is pretty bad. Geb is where the latest member of the 20 plus growers came from. Okay. But yeah, I think with whatever magic book this will be going into, because this will be coming out after Warcry, it's going to talk a lot about how the traditions interact in the remaster world, or in the Orc post OGL. Because OGL, if we remember, the spell schools would oppose in various ways. But in the remaster, the spell schools are done, so they have to go for the traditions instead. You know what would have been cool if they take any action other than Fort DC, say they take damage? Well, Sid Magic, yes. The Rune Lord has already been converted to be coming out, the Rune Lord archetype. It's supposed to be coming out for the Magic Colleges book. But I think whatever they do with this book that we are playtesting, it's going to go back into Sin Magic. Unless they've just completely erased Sin Magic, but I doubt it. Overloaded ammunition. You can bind power into your arrows or slingstones to transform them into explosive missiles. During your daily preparations, you can lay power-containing inscriptions upon 2 pieces of ammunition to transform them into explosive ammunition. Rune Lords aren't real. One still exists. One is still very much alive. Unless they're going to kill her or something. But then there's still Queen Sorshan. She's still alive. They are not rising. Astral Composite Invocation. This is another opposing one, I think. Invoking runes from 2 schools of magic that both see... I think that was a typo left over from an earlier version. Because schools of magic don't exist anymore. So I think they meant traditions there. Oh, Juliet's doing a funny toll. She's currently in a Rune Lords campaign. But yes, the Rune Lords are getting worked. The new archetype's going to be in magical colleges. I'm not sure if they're going to be expanding out the Sin Magic. Not sure. Like they had it in Rusthenge, I'm not sure if they're going to keep doing anything with it. We just don't know yet. But just by the name Impossible playtest, I think it's going to be talking a lot about Geb and Nex. Distant Invocation. Your connection to your runes stretches Over even greater distances, you add 30 feet to the range of any of your invocation abilities, typically increasing the range from 30 to 60 feet. Well, level 12, there's your flat 60 feet, demoralize. So technically speaking, you could do a skill feat at level 12 that allows you to do it, to increase the range of demoralize. So there you go, G-Wizard. I'm not sure if you're still there or not. Expanded glossary, you have memorized. What went over your head, Tol? Oh, the joke, yeah. Angie, there we go. Dance of Bloody Ink. As you lash out, your weapon is your brush, wounds forming words of power in your target's flesh. You invoke a rune on a melee weapon you are wielding and strike with the weapon. On a hit, you can step and strike again with the same weapon. If the second strike hits, you trace a rune onto the target of the strike. Both attacks count towards your multiple attack penalty, but you do not increase your penalty until you have made all your attacks. That one's just fun. Define the canvas. This is cool. I like this one. Once per 10 minutes, 2 actions, you produce 4 rune-inscribed stones which whirl in the air once before darting away to the perimeter of a 20-foot burst centered on your square. I think that should be, because bursts, it's either should be a 20-foot emanation or it should be a 20-foot burst centered on a corner of your square. With a third strike, you write a Z for Zoro. Oh, so Runesmith Vigilante? I can see it. While you are within the canvas, you can trace a rune directly into the ground, which causes the rune to expand across the entire space, tracing it onto whoever many creatures on the canvas you choose. The canvas lasts for 1 minute. Clubby Charms. With bloody ink, can you write funny words on them like someone passed out? well. So they have specific names to the runes, but you have sigil as an innate cantrip, usually. So, you know, fuck it, why not, yeah? Hengegate. This is an interesting one that took a little bit of passing out. You hold a rune in your heart and strike the earth, causing 2 standing stones to rise nearby. Your chosen rune carved upon their surfaces and blazing in the air above them. The stones each appear in an unoccupied 5-foot space within 30 feet of you and within 15 feet of each other. Alright. Okay. When you raise the Hengegate, choose 1 rune that can be drawn on a creature to carve into the stones. If you or an ally makes a successful ranged strike using physical ammunition and that attack passes through the Hengegate, your ammunition gains that rune in flight and automatically traces it on the target. The Hengegate lasts for 1 minute. So, how? Because there was a lot of confusion about what this actually did. So, for the purposes of this little thing, Ben's gonna be out, Runesmith. Actually, no, we'll also have a Runesmith. Hey, Sal. Welcome to the labs. Something like that. So, if Sal, our Runesmith, casts the Henge, and we'll use a zombie shambler in honor of the Necromancer. Place a Henge there. And a stone there. So any ammunition that passes through the line between them gets whatever rune. But it's you or an ally. So if you have a ranger or a gunslinger in your party, or just tell anyone who's doing range stuff, any of their ammunition that goes between those 2 henge stones gets the rune on them. Yeah, Gunmagus, take your pick. Like, someone can do Hedgegate and pull it off. I like it. Like, that's just a lot of fun. And there's a part of me that would like to see more of this kind of thing, where it's all about the placement, etc. But if your ally makes a successful range strike using physical ammunition and that attack passes through, it gets the rune of flight and automatically traces it on the target. Hingegate lasts for 1 minute. Also the firing line thing from BMP, absolutely. With Flurry Ranger that's cracked, yeah, no, just because you can invoke all the runes at once. So if you're in the party with a Flurry Ranger, you don't have to do a lot of damage, you just have to land the hits. And then your Runesmith just invokes them all. Because you have a limit on what you can etch, but not on what you can trace. So just massive. By your name. Once per hour, you must know the target's name. In a moment of inspiration, you understand the target perfectly, allowing you to craft a rune that draws effects to the target by their very name. Attempt a crafting check against the standard DC of the target creature's level. Regardless of the outcome, you cannot attempt to use by your name against this target again for 24 hours. You understand the target's true name, which you add temporarily to your runic repertoire as a special diacritic rune. This diacritic rune magnifies the effects of the base rune when targeting a creature whose true name the rune represents. When invoked, the target takes -2 circumstance penalty on their saving throw against the effects of the base rune. Additionally, if the base rune damage deals damage, it gains a status bonus to its damage equal to half your level. Inspiration used to understand this diacritic rune fades quickly, and you forget how to use the diacritic rune after 1 minute. This is true name stuff. I feel like it should have the true name trait, but I'm not sure if they're going to be bringing that back in the remaster. With whatever they do for Secrets of Magic. Return onto runes, level 16. You are targeted by a ranged spell attack. This is reaction. You have a hand free or are holding an artisan's toolkit. You forget the rune but not the name. Interesting, right? You attempt to deconstruct an incoming spell into its individual magical components, storing them temporarily as a rune. You gain a +4 circumstance bonus to AC against the triggering attack. If the attack misses, the spell is returned to its original form sealed in a rune, which floats around your free hand or around your artisan's tools. Till the end of your next turn, you can trace this rune onto a creature as normal. When the rune is invoked, it has the effects of the spell you deconstructed as if the original caster had cast it on the target. The rune effects only the creature was applied to, even if the original spell could usually affect a greater number of targets. Disintegration, no you. It's yoink in feed form, yeah. But you can only use it for AC. It has to be an attack spell. So you can't use it for a lot of the save spells. You would think that is good, but actually they're only like free spells. Yeah, that's the problem. You don't go up against a lot of casters as enemies, particularly in the APs as they're written at the moment. Boss encounters usually are the big ones for it. Sometimes you'll get an advanced minion with it. And that would be good for those moments, but it's a 16th level feat, and well, you've only got the 2 options at level 16. At that level, it's only disintegrate. Yeah, at that level. Yeah, I don't know. I personally would probably go, by the choice of the 2 of them, I would go for By Your Name. But I'm a sucker for true names. Upcasted spells that it could work on? Yeah. That's the only other thing you'd use it for, and that does come up from time to time. Level 18, Annihilating Composite Invocation. No one is cooking +6 briny bolts, and they're cowards for not doing it. Each tradition of magic holds sway over 2 of the 4 essences that make up all of creation, and so by invoking runes from each tradition at once, you can pull from the 4 corners of magic to unravel anything. You invoke 4 runes of your choice on a single creature, which must be from each tradition of magic. In addition to the rune's normal effects, the target must also succeed at a basic fortitude saving throw, or take 10d4 force damage as destructive magical harmonics clash in their body. If reduced to 0 hit points by this damage or by the damage of any of the runes invoked, the creature's body is torn apart into glowing script that describes the creature to the smallest detail, leaving no remains but leaving their gear unharmed as the letters fade. Yeah, now the harmonics do damage. Level 18, I will reduce you to nothing but words. To nothing but mere letters in the air. See, now I'm just kind of... You could do a lot with that. Should have the death trait, should have the death trait. I would also argue potentially the incapacitate trait as well. Alright, then I'll shed them to atoms, yeah. See, I'm getting some ideas for Stolen Fate as well. Just reading through some of this. Living Lexicon, boring. Your knowledge of runes knows no bound. You gain an additional rune in your runic repertoire. Yeah, okay. Cool. We can either have Annihilating Composite Invocation or an extra rune. Forge New Word. At the pinnacle of your art, you have forged a new great rune of power, a new ideal expression of or utterance to be added to the craft. You create a rune and add it to your runic repertoire. Name the rune. This rune has the effects of any one spell that is common, or to which you otherwise have access, of 4th rank or lower, and that costs no more than 2 actions to cast. This rune has a unique trait and a magical trait of your choosing, and its usage matches the target of the base spell. This one's interesting. Yeah, one of the levels, lower level ones give you true. Haste, yeah. Just gonna speed myself up. It's interesting, and it's good for a 20th level feat. And I can see some of the combos that could be burned off of it. Fireball, because explosive runes means, yeah. Yeah, actually, then you can put it on all your friends. Do the canvas thing, so everyone in that 20-foot burst gets haste. Shades of Meaning. You know one or more diacritic runes. As the gap between your intention and your words becomes almost nothing, you find that you don't need to consciously draw the diacritic marks that would embellish or modify your runes. As you draw a rune, it continues to grow outwards like a living thing, applying the exact accent or stress mark you intended for it to have. Whenever you etch or trace a rune, you can choose to also apply one diacritic rune you know to it as part of the same action. Which is good. But that's basically just quick and to add a bonus to it, I guess. But that's it for the feats. Now for the actual runes. That's some flavor stuff. Now, this is going to be more of a quick aside for designers. This class is overtuned. So that's going to be the survey result. We're just going to go to the survey and be like, hey, Paizo, it's overtuned. Tone it down a little, yeah, bud? So, something from a designer point of view. All of these runes have proper names. This is a small thing. I don't think it's going to be an issue at all, but it's something I really did want to point out. All of these runes have proper names. So Atral, Asphodare, Algenix, these are proper names. Therefore, you can't use these proper names for party content. Especially if you're using the orc, because proper names are excluded. So I'm not sure. I think you just have to do things like Rune of Fire or Rune of Whetstones instead, and I think that's why they did that, but I'm not 100% sure. That's just like a third-party thing. This does mean, however, that if you are designing third-party content for the Runesmith, then you get to make up your own names for them. And it's fun. But Azrael, the Rune of Fire, drawn on a creature or object. This rune is often placed on a stone in a hearth to ensure the fire does not go out in the night. Its power enabling even stone to burn. The bearer's fire resistance, if any, is reduced by 6. Its immunities are unaffected. Kineticist, I know Kineticist gets a thing that allows them to reduce the resistances for their specific element. The reduction in fire resistance increases by 1 and the damage of the invocation increases by 2d6. Yeah, if you monogate. Okay. Bearer's fire resistance, if any, is reduced by 6. Its immunities are unaffected. The bearer takes 2d6 fire damage with a basic fortitude save. On a critical failure, they are dazzled for 1 radiant. So this was the thing. So level +2, resistance increases by 1, and damage to the invocation increases by 2d6. So this is the damage rune. And this is the one you're dropping on a lot of people to make the fire happen. This is the one that you're putting on your ammunition, etc. Esfidir, Rune of Whetstones, drawn on a piercing or slashing weapon or unarmed strike. This serrated rune, when placed on a blade, ensures it will never go dull. On a successful strike, the weapon deals an additional 2 persistent bleed damage per weapon damage die. Just not even a critical, just okay, cool. Drawn on a piercing or slashing weapon, it doesn't even have to be. Ooh. It doesn't have to be a melee weapon. So you could put that on, yeah. Put it on a bow, put it on a gun. Because most guns start with piercing, but concussive means they also count as bludgeoning. So put that on a gun. God, sniper build with that etched onto the rifles. God damn. Okay. The essence of sharpness is released outwards from the rune, dealing 2d6 slashing damage to a creature adjacent to the rune bearer with a basic fortitude save. Yeah, look. If I'm using this on a gunslinger, I'm probably never invocating it. It would be an etch. Oh, here's the cracked. This is my favorite rune, and also kind of oof. Similarity in the dwarven words for wall and shield ensure that this angular rune, once used to shore up tunnels, can apply equally well in the heat of battle. A shield bearing this rune increases its circumstance bonus to AC by 1. Well, then as if you throw this into Starfinder, yeah. Wouldn't the rune have to be on the ammo for that? Not necessarily. Because a lot of spell effects, for instance, if you have a bow with the flaming rune, yeah, if you have a bow with a flaming rune, the flaming rune applies to all ammo. So the same logic would apply forward. You can etch this on all your friends and they never have to raise a shield. Yeah, well. So, a shield bearing this rune increases its circumstance bonus to AC by 1. Invocation, you call the shield to its rightful place, you raise the shield bearing the rune as if the rune bearer had used Razor Shield. And the shield retains the increased bonus to AC until the beginning of the creature's next turn. So, there are certain effects that do if you have... This is broken, please nerf. There are certain effects that if you have two people next to each other, and they both have their shields raised, they get a combined bonus to their armor class. So, this increases the circumstance bonus by 1. Not in place of, increases. So, those kind of bonuses are kind of cumulative. Also, this works on tower shields and fortress shields. So if you have a runesmith with a fortress shield etched with this rune, you get that +1 bonus. Now the other kicker to this is because the invocation allows you to raise the shield as well. Yeah, Bunker Ben just got upgraded. Yeah, no, Juliet gets what I'm going for here. +4 AC without cover, exactly. And you can still use the take cover action to get your bonus to, like, reflex saves. A heavy armor runesmith is going to be terrifying. Like, absolutely terrifying. A dwarven heavy armor runesmith. You're just not going to be able... Also, it's Rune level 1. I'm not sure how the multi-class archetype's going to turn out, but... Bit of theory crafting. Dwarven champion with a fortress shield. Picks up the Runesmith archetype. Picks up Hultrick. Like, it's super cool. Love the invocation, but that's gonna be hard to deal with. Marcel, Rune of Impact. This rune magnifies force many times over as it passes through the rune's concentric rings. The weapon deals 1 bludgeoning splash damage per weapon damage die. If the weapon is a melee weapon, the rune bearer is immune to the splash damage. From a design perspective, this wording is super important. Because, for instance, if you're trying to recreate Elden Ring bosses, which comes up more than I would expect, but if you're trying to create Elden Ring bosses that do like a singular attack, but then does the damage outwards from that, then this is how you would write it. But the invocation, the weapon vibrates as power concentrates within it. The next successful strike made with the weapon before the end of its wielder's next turn deals an additional die of damage, and the target must succeed at a fortitude save or a knockover, or be pushed 10 feet in a straight line backwards, so 20 feet on a critical failure. Technically, an arm strike is no weapon. Well, but you can put these runes on your flesh, it's fine. Yeah, who needs scatter? And more to the point, it makes you immune to that damage as well. Oh, I meant more for ignoring the splash. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, that's a fun thing. Ultranex, Rune of Coward's Bane. This rune resembles a broken arrow. While the shield is raised, it also grants the bearer a +1 status bonus to AC against physical ranged attacks. Pull up. I have to check a thing. Just did entrench. Yeah, this would stack with entrench. Oh, they added things for a shield as well, didn't they? Deflecting. Integrated launching shield throw, okay. So it'd just be deflecting, but more to the point. Entrench. So, I mean, if you really wanted to be like, you could do some terrible things with that. The invocation. The rune creates an illusion in the minds of all. Well, no, you can't, because it has to be drawn on a shield. But still, that's a status bonus. So stacks with Hull Trick. So, who wants a fortress shield that's +5? The shield would go over the entrenching anyway. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But it's just so fortress shield +5 to your armor class. That's it. Against ranged attacks. I'm just gonna range my fortress shield and just keep walking forward. Yeah, I'll get there in a couple of turns, but you're not hitting me. Broken. Look. But I'm not sure what they could do to change that. Why just do the dwarf one? Yeah, no, I know. Bound in iron or whatever it is. Like, it would be sad to see these true runes go away, but at the same point, I don't know how you would. Yeah, it's. I don't see how you could tune them down. +1 hardness on the shield one? Yeah, I think that's the only way you could really do it. But the invocation. The rune creates an illusion in the minds of all creatures adjacent to the rune bearer that lasts for 1 round. The illusion is of a large impassable wall blocking all paths away from the rune bearer. Creatures affected by this invocation can't willingly move further away from the rune bearer for 1 round or until they disbelieve the illusion, usually by using a seek action against your class DC. It's less valuable, it's also more boring. And I know that seems like it doesn't seem like a great thing to point out, but whether something is fun and cool does actually bear towards whether you include it or not. So there are times when you're working on a design, if in the purpose of balance it becomes boring, you just kind of have to remove it at that point. Pluna, Rune of Illumination, drawn on a creature or armor. While many runes are enchanted to glow, light is the focus of this simple rune. The rune sheds bright light in a 20-foot emanation. Dim light to 40. Creatures in the emanation take a -1 item penalty to stealth checks. Each creature in the light must succeed at a fortitude save against your class DC or be dazzled for 1 round. The light fades, but the target still sheds dim light in a 20-foot emanation for 1 round. That's pretty cool, and you can put that on an animal companion pretty easily. So look at that. You can put runes on, on animal companions. Ranshu, Rune of Thunder, drawn on a creature or object. This vertical rune is often carved on tall towers to draw lightning and shield the buildings below it. If the bearer does not take a move action at least once on its turn, lightning finds it at the end of its turn, dealing 1d4 electricity damage. Oh, that's just painful. The preliminary streaks of lightning braid together into a powerful bolt. The rune bearer takes 2d6 electricity damage with a basic fortitude save. That's pretty standard. Not necromancy, but not bad. Sun, diacritic rune of preservation. The spiraling, so this is one of the runes that you add on to a rune. The spiraling diacritic channels the magic of a rune outwards, then back in on the same location, allowing a rune to reconstitute itself. After the base rune is invoked, the rune automatically traces itself back upon the same target. You could only have one of them done, so it just renews one. So drop the fire invocation on one, then do sun, then invoke it, and you can flame them twice. Diacritic rune of intensity. When the base rune is invoked, its invocation gains a status bonus to damage equal to your intelligence modifier. I mean, what, +6 at most? Maybe? Zok, rune of homecoming. This circular mark, I actually like this one. You draw it on a creature. The circular mark is meant to allow travelers to always find their way home. The target gains a +15 foot status bonus to your speeds, but only when their movement would end closer to you than they started their turn. The invocation, you call the rune bearer to your side. You teleport the target to any unoccupied square adjacent to you. If the bearer is unwilling, they can attempt a will save to negate the effect. Just, it's friend fetch. It's a better version of friend fetch. What level is it? 1. Ooh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think they're gonna have to look over some of these runes again. I feel like they need another pass. Diacritic rune of expansion. This diacritic surrounds a rune with outward facing arrows to magnify and direct power outward. When the base rune is invoked, its damage applies in a 15-foot burst, centered on the rune bearer. Once again, I think that's supposed to be either emanation or corner. I might be getting this wrong though. If any creatures are also within the area, they are subject to the base rune's effects, including any saving throw. Rune of gravity. The rune bearer gains a +2 item bonus to athletics checks and gains the benefits of the Time Wrestler feat. I think anyone who's trying to wrestle big things already has that bonus and already has Time Wrestler, especially at level, what, 18? Or 9? Don't think they have like level 21s. No, they do, okay. So level 9. Yeah, even by level 9, they're probably already going to have that. Does that work with the make your own rune? Probably. No, this isn't a diacritic rune, so it'd have to be a different one. Chelsu, rune of observation. A ring of dotted circles, this rune allows a creature marked with it to see all. The target is affected by see the unseen and gains all-round vision, which prevents it from being flanked. Yeah, I'm definitely getting ideas for Stolen Fate. Invocation, the eyes of the rune fly outwards, attaching to all creatures in a 20-foot emanation. Each of these creatures that was invisible becomes concealed instead, and each one that was concealed for any other reason is no longer concealed. This effect lasts for 2 rounds. Cool. Meant the burst activation one, thinking single target spell suddenly going multi. Yeah, actually, yeah. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's a lot to wait for level 18, I think it was, but still, phew. Nth, diacritic rune of corruption. This set of angular accents around the base rune channels the essence of fiendish corruption. The base rune gains the unholy trait, as does any damage it deals. If applied to a holy creature, that creature is enfeebled 1 for as long as the rune is applied to it. Bloodlords is finished, right? Like, they're not doing another evil campaign, right? This feels like they're working towards a never evil campaign. But at the same point, have enemy creatures using this kind of thing. I could see contract devils using this. Ooh, actually, a contract devil with runesmithing. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna file that away for later. Droz, rune of dragon fury. Etched onto a creature or armor, this angular rune channels the fury of a dragon kind. Whenever a creature strikes the rune bearer or steals from them, specifically steals, Draconic Sanction fully focuses on them, causing them to become off guard for 1 round. The Invocation. As a free action, the Rune Bearer can fly up to 60 feet toward a creature that has damaged them in the last minute. If they end this movement adjacent to a creature, the creature becomes off guard until the end of the Rune Bearer's next turn. If the Rune Bearer doesn't have a fly speed and ends its movement in the air, they safely float back to the ground at the end of the next turn. Cowards! Majestry. Rune of Insulation. Resistance 5 to an element. Means resistance 5 to your choice of cold, electricity, or fire, and any creature that touches them or damages them with an unarmed strike attack or non-range weapon takes 2d6 damage. Ooh, okay. Invocation. Any creature that has the armor wears engulfed, grabbed, restrained, or swallowed whole takes 4d6 damage with a basic reflex save against your class DC. On a failure, it also releases the armor's wearer. That's pretty good. Felix would love that. I think I've swallowed Felix 3-4 times now. Trollistry, Rune of Forlorn Sorrow. This rune calls to mind the forlorn nature of elves and the beauty within it. While this rune is beautiful, sorrow is best admired from a distance. It'd be good against that plant? Yeah, no, it would. Enemies within 20 feet of the Rune Bearer treat all squares between them and the Rune Bearer as difficult terrain. Sorrow Invocation. Sorrow blots out the capacity for any other action. Each enemy within 20 feet of the Rune Bearer must succeed at a will save or be slowed 1 as it spends the first action of its next turn sobbing. Regardless of the outcome, the creature is then temporarily immune to the invocation for 1 hour. Elves literally invented that rune. It's an elf rune. We're going to get to the elf gate key as well. Yeah, G-Wizard, I'm not 100% sure, because the Broken Shield one also has the dwarf trait. So I'm not sure if it's a case of you have to be a dwarf, or if it's just kind of dwarven coded, or this one's elven coded. But yeah, enemies within 20 feet of the Rune Bearer treat all squares between them and the Rune Bearer as difficult terrain. So, put that onto your caster. No one's running at him. Or at least they're going to have a harder time running at him. This also means that because it's difficult terrain, you can't step around them. So no one's going to be avoiding your fighter anymore. Ioun, the Elf Gate Key. It's a 17th level rune. This masterful circular key rune is key to the Idara network of elf gates that stretch across the stars. Once per turn, when the Rune Bearer takes a stride action, they can instead teleport a distance equal to their speed. Also locks down targets, not just on approach for that one. Yeah, no one's going to be able to do 3 steps away from a target then. The Invocation! You teleport the Rune Bearer to a location adjacent to any of your other runes, as long as it is on the same plane. An unwilling target can attempt a will save to resist this teleportation. If you have the ability to cast a Sigil cantrip, then you can use Ioun's Invocation to teleport the Rune Bearer to a location adjacent to any of your sigils. That is powerful! 17, rune on a bird. Bird fly up. I mean, will save to resist. It's not basic, so that would be save or suck. You wouldn't change the suck though. Rovan, Seal of the Dead Vault. Drawn on a creature. This mighty jagged rune is just one of the several that keeps the Destroyer sealed in his prison deep in Galarian's core. The Rune Bearer takes a minus 20-foot penalty to its land speeds and a minus 40-foot penalty to all other speeds as the rune attempts to bind the creature. If its creature's fly speed is reduced to 0 this way, it can't take the flyer or rest of full action. Oh god. The Invocation, the ground in a 10-foot emanation around the Rune Bearer becomes difficult terrain permanently, and the Rune Bearer must attempt a fortitude saving throw as the earth around it attempts to surround and imprison it. The rune bearer is then immune to your Rovan Seal of the Dead Vault runes for 24 hours. Look. I can't promise that. I can't. I super can't. Stolen Fate is a like 11 to 20 campaign. So when you invoke it, success, the bearer becomes slowed for 1 round. Slowed 2, that's fine for 1 round. I mean, it sucks, but it's just 1 round. Critical failure, the bearer becomes slowed 2, restrained, and blinded as it becomes trapped in a massive compressed sphere of earth. If the bearer is unable to escape the sphere within 3 rounds, it becomes petrified. Over the course of a year, the sphere forms a small hill around it, hiding its buried prisoner. At the top of the hill, a stone with the image of this rune remains. Counteracting the stone frees the prisoner. Okay. So, yeah. So that was the Runesmith. Last Bretonius the 23rd killed by that rune again. So watch the fucking rune. Oh look, it's very well known that the Paizo devs are big anime fans. Big anime fans. Like there's some of the stuff that's in Guns and Gears that was directly from Ruby, and they admitted it. I believe the gif of that one chick with the exploding hammer, where she just fires it off and launches through the air, that gif was used as an example for an ability they wanted. But that's Runesmith. That's the Orc Notice. That's something I'll have to check later. Whoa, it's still Bretonius the First. Yeah, at least for now. So Runesmith is overtuned. I think I agree. I will say though, I think it's intentionally overtuned. Because like they said at the start of the playtest, and we'll go back up there. I think it's been overtuned on purpose. Because they want to see how it comes out in the wash. Like the new monk feat, Godbreaker. Oh look, I haven't had a chance to go through all the mythic stuff. But some of the mythic stuff does absolutely feel like anime nonsense, and I'm all here for it. I absolutely am. Actually, I should put that on the... See, we can't go through all of the mythic stuff in one stream though. I'd have to do it over a couple. And I don't particularly want to do the... I don't like doing lore stuff on stream either, because there's plenty of other people who do that, and I'd much rather leave it to people like Runia. If you're after lore, Runia DeWitch is absolutely fantastic for it. There is a horse girl evil mythic path. Yes. I would like to see a horse girl good mythic path, or at least one that's less evil. Godbreaker is a mythic, just level 20. Oh yeah, I know. It's just this. I think it was in that one. As much as it's fun to see the big numbers in the playtest, I do worry that people are really only going to focus on the ones that are egregious. A little bit. Mechanically speaking, though, both fun. Like, absolutely. It's okay, Julia. We know Paizo specifically hates you and your horses. But mechanically speaking, both the Necromancer and the Runesmith, I like the class mechanics for them. Particularly the Necromancer with its full manipulation. Yeah, core mechanics look really fun. I am... So, I'm probably going to be adapting some Runesmith stuff to go into Stolen Fate, because I can see that working really well with the card theme that they have going on for the AP, and some of the Necromancer stuff is probably going to make it into Gatewalkers, particularly for the Black Frost Maiden. So I'm going to be doing some playtesting in my own GM way. Exercising some GM bullshit, NPC bullshit. Otherwise, things to close out the night with. I mean, if the playtest is free and available for anyone if you go to Paizo.com. There's that. I know the playtest module is currently up on Foundry. Grab Jill, she's playing a lot. I'm thinking to make a Twisted Fate character. Yeah. The Foundry module is up for it. I've created 2 characters on Foundry, Necromancer and a Runesmith. I'm not sure how automated the mechanics are for them as yet, but they are there. They're also up on Demiplane for anyone who uses Demiplane. I think that's about it, though. Any final questions while I start setting up our disappearing act? Yeah, Dwarf's still online. We'll raid him. Nope, no questions? Easy done. Question, what would you want to see as the baseline for dedications? So for like multi-class dedications, both of them would have to have... They'd be chunky. I don't think you'd get subclasses with the dedication. But, for instance, the Runesmith, you'd get 1 or 2 runes, and the etching... You'd probably get like a diminished table as well for what runes you can use. At least until you kind of grab the feats to make them better. But you'd absolutely need the invocation stuff, and you'd probably only get 1 or 2 runes. Necromancer would be the same thing. I think both dedications would be pretty heavily front-loaded. With the Necromancer, probably lose that reaction, that free action they get to drain a thrall. But you can still just summon them. But Necromancer is going to be an interesting one, because even if the dedication only gives you the ability to summon thralls for 1 action, that's still pretty good. Like, anyone can use that really well. I don't think it's overtuned, you're still using class feat for it, but... Yeah, probably remove scaling on amount of thralls summoned. At the very least, or you'd have to grab an additional feat to increase the scaling. And we see that with other multi-class archetypes. So that wouldn't be too out of pocket for it. My general opinion is the multi-class archetypes tend to be weaker than actual archetypes. But that's just my general opinion, because I know there's a lot of back and forth on that particular note. But I mostly consider multi-class archetypes to be weaker than other archetypes, just because Paizo doesn't want a multi-class to be as good as having the actual class. So I feel like they down-tune the multi-classes a fair bit. But like I said, that's just opinion. Otherwise, let's set that rate up. We're gonna raid into the Dwarf Down Under. He is currently playing... I did spell that right, didn't I? I did. Considering the prevalence of free archetype, it fits, yeah. Because free archetype is very prevalent. I like some multi-class archetypes, but I think it depends heavily on 1 to 10 class feats. Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. And I don't think they're all created equally. But at the same point, I still think Paizo tries to downtune them a little bit. A little bit. Or at least the things you get from the dedication are pretty general. Otherwise, I mean, thank you all for joining me. I have more people in here than I thought I would. I'll have to check the analytics and stuff later. But this has been the Impossible playtest for Pathfinder 2nd edition. Check it out on Paizo, all that fun stuff. The VOD for this will be up in about 48 hours. On the YouTubes. I'm just gonna send you straight to YouTube with that. So be sure to follow me there. I've got all my actual plays are up there as well. We're currently doing... Seems pretty possible. God. We're currently going through Rusthenge and Gatewalkers and Stolen Fate. And Stolen Fate's still pretty recent, so you can probably catch up on that one pretty easily. Otherwise, that's it from me. I hope you have a good day, a good night, a good week, no matter where you're in the world. Be sure to say hello to Dwarf for me. But otherwise, remember, as always, we are the storytellers. Good night, everyone.